Lots of NBA discussion. We are on the eve of the NBA draft, hump day edition of Ball Don't Lie. So we'll talk a ton of NBA news, notes, and nuggets. Also, a lot of trade rumors and conjecture and reports. We'll get to all of it. Also, we'll hear from the projected number one overall pick. Congratulations, San Antonio Spurs fans, still celebrating Victor Wembanyama. He was on a podcast, or a show, I should say, with JJ Redick. We'll get to that and some of that audio coming up here in the first segment. Also, we'll get to some Longhorn football conversation, go behind the burnt orange curtain. We'll talk some Texas football news, notes, and nuggets. Also, yes, it is baseball season, so we'll get into some Major League Baseball discussion. Astros finally, go Stros, get a win. We'll talk about, and the Rangers in heartbreaking, controversial fashion. They lose one last night. So we'll talk about that, all of that and more. Before we do, we'll let our next guest tell you about a very special guest we're having on the show. Really important people, but he was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream in the cheese. Pimping ain't easy, but for this man, it's a breeze. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Hardball Hard. What's going on, brother?
That's right. You were talking about hardball, and you were talking about the Major League, and what better way to break into a conversation about the Major Leagues than having Hall of Famer Chipper Jones join us at 4:30 as we get ready to talk about some of the things, the 400 hitter, and, of course, a lot of the way that the teams are playing in the Major Leagues. He told us about the Texas Rangers, and I'm sure he's going to have something to say about that controversial call. But let me talk about my man that sits across from me every single day. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime and now college football Hall of Fame Longhorn Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But, of course, he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Babers.
I appreciate that intro as always, and we do not have my man Patrick because he's on a well-deserved vacation. And we appreciate my man Patrick taking some time for himself. He's a hard-working man, but we do have my man Jack twisting and tweaking the dials back here this week, and we are lucky to have him because he's damn good at what he does. What's going on, Jack? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are y'all doing this afternoon?
Doing real good, man.
Good, man.
We got a lot to get into on the show. We'll talk some NBA. A lot of NBA reports out there. Jack has got us some sound from Victor Wembanyama. He's on the, what is it called, the Old Man and the Three podcast from JJ Redick. Victor Wembanyama was on there. He's making the rounds.
He needs to.
I believe
It's
he was on a couple of the morning shows.
Yeah.
He was on some other shows. He's making the rounds, man. He's getting all over the place. And that's good. We already got a Spurs fan on the Suspect Sex sign, 512-337-3776, and go Spurs go. We get it. Yeah, we understand. I'm really excited.
We understand your excitement.
Yes, we get it. We celebrated when you guys got the number one overall pick, I think it was like a month ago, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Spurs will get a chance to reap the benefits, and they will draft the best prospect, they're saying, in the NBA since LeBron James. That's
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality of it. So
That's where we at now.
That's what they're saying. Like that's what they're saying. And he's one of the most coveted prospects and one of the most highly rated prospects coming into the NBA in a really long time. So we'll hear from him, that prospect. Also, we'll get into a lot of baseball, as my man Harsh just mentioned. You're gonna have Chipper Jones on.
Chipper.
Yeah. So, and we got to ask him about, is it Luis Arraez?
Arraez. Yeah.
Arraez?
Yep.
Yeah. Is he still hitting 400, or is he did he drop off?
He dropped off. Yeah. He dropped just barely though. Just barely.
What,
he's right around
380?
Yeah.
3
No,
something?
like 398, I think it is.
Oh,
so he's right
there.
underneath. Yeah,
Okay.
He's still right there.
Yeah, we'll ask Chipper Jones about that. He knows about hitting 400 plus at this point in the Major League Baseball season. So we're asking about a lot of stuff. That's coming up for Harsh Knock Life. We'll leave a lot of extra room so we can talk to Chipper Jones. So my man Harsh knows every damn body. Once again, opening up the contact list, and we appreciate it. College World Series going on as we speak.
Yep.
Top of the 7th. Florida's up 2-1 on TCU.
Yep. And the starting pitcher for Florida was somebody that we were talking about earlier about who can be the next Shohei Ohtani. Well, I don't know if he's going to exactly be the next Shohei Ohtani, but he is projected to be a first-round, possibly number 1 overall draft pick next year's draft. And he started and played some first base before, but he started on the mound and hit a shot early in the game. Wasn't a home run, but you could see the power that he has. And we'll talk about him a little bit too.
Can I ask you a question, though, about the College World Series?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. And I'm not trying to be critical at all.
I think it's coming to be critical.
No, yeah, it's kind of like I'm not a racist button, all right? All right, you know what I mean?
Let me give you a moment to go ahead and go through that. Yeah, go ahead.
It's actually less popular, or it's less popular than the Little League World Series.
Oh, well, yeah.
Why is that?
Because people always are pulling for the kids, and it's got different countries that are involved in it as well. So you coming from overseas. For college, it's more about, is my team playing or not? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a ton of people that are in Omaha right now that their kids are playing in a tournament in Omaha right now.
Yeah.
So they have tournaments going on while the College World Series. So the popularity in the stands are more for a lot of the teams that bring all the kids that come up there to play as well. I've had a bunch of friends that have been there for the College World Series, but they weren't there for the College World Series. They were there because their kids were playing in a tournament.
Because I heard people talking about it, and it was like, oh, no, it's more watched. The Little League World Series is more watched than the College World Series. I was like, is that true? And I looked it up, and it's like, it is true.
It is true.
It's like, wow.
Yeah, man. I mean, a lot of people don't miss the Little League World Series because it's different teams every single year.
It's just amazing that
communities get involved.
That level of baseball is more popular, basically, you're telling me, than the college level of baseball.
Well, during the World Series times, because it's in the summer, number one, and your kids are playing a lot of sports and you're on the go a lot, you don't have time to really pay attention unless you have a team that's there.
No, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it is an interesting take.
I don't know if that's any other sport where that's the case.
Maybe.
Right?
You may be correct. You may be correct.
It's just you know what I mean? Like that's why I just thought it's unique. You broke it down. It's basically why that is the case.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be the case.
Yeah. But
right?
I think a lot of it is time, too.
Yeah.
You got people are starting summers.
Yeah.
They're starting their summer trips. It's not the focus of what they're doing. Little League World Series is more truly about the kids.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, man, did you know that Pearland is playing for national champion? I mean, for a World Series championship at Little League? And everybody's like, oh, really? Then you go and check it out because these are the stars of tomorrow.
College baseball also stars
But
on
I'm talking about for parents, Little League World Series are like,
okay.
we trading pins over there for this.
Yeah.
They're not trading pins over there.
No,
they're trading shots.
They're trading shots. And LSU's beating every damn body.
And LSU is destroying people.
Yeah, you're right about that. They're a dynasty, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to this Victor Wembanyama sound. Okay, first of all, before we get to the sound of him on the J.J. Redick show podcast that he was on.
Did you see the picture of J.J. Redick standing next to him?
I did see that. It was on social media. I did see it.
That just goes to show you how tall this dude is.
I mean, the reports are that he's somewhere between 7'3" and 7'5".
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if they know exactly where he is.
Because not that many people can get all the way up that high.
But yeah, no, he's an alien. That's all it is about. He's a
freaky alien.
No question about it.
Yeah.
But my favorite sound of with him so far is the day that the Spurs won the NBA lottery. And he was being interviewed, I think, within like an hour or so of them winning the NBA lottery. And he started talking about how this was always kind of what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
It's eerie, man. It's spooky. It makes it, as a Rockets fan, it upsets me because it makes me think that this lottery number one overall pick for the Spurs could work out like their previous number one overall picks and lead to championships and potential dynasty. because it was just meant to be. The basketball gods they said it would be. Here is Victor Wembanyama right after the Spurs won the lottery, and listen to how he describes this moment. All right. That was spooky. All right. He said
the universe is never wrong.
He spoke it into existence. He said it would be that the case. And, of course, the Spurs over in France already have kind of a built-in fan base because they've had players from France. So that's another thing. And he played for Tony Parker's team over in France.
Parker.
Yeah.
I like the Boris Diaw. I also got the shout out on that. I'm a big Boris Diaw fan.
Yes, no question. Yeah, so like I said, in a lot of ways, it seemed like it was meant to be. So recently, he was on a podcast with JJ Redick. It's called The Old Man and the Three, I believe. I got to start listening to this because I actually haven't listened to it before. It's my first time. And he had him on for like an hour. He had him on there forever. So we just got a few cuts, courtesy of my man Jack, who worked really hard to get these. So the first one is him once again being asked about, of course, him being a future Spur, because he will be drafted by the San Antonio Spurs with the number 1 overall pick tomorrow in the NBA draft. Here is Victor Wembanyama.
It'll be a no-brainer.
I mean, he's always wanted to be a Spur, it seems like, and most of the French citizens, seems like, or at least the ones who are NBA fans, are Spurs fans already because of Tony Parker and Boris Diaw, as he mentioned. So, yeah, he wanted to be a Spur. So this is a dream come true for him.
Yeah. It's a dream come true for San Antonio Spurs fans.
But for both.
Yeah, they have been dreaming of this. They've been wishing it. What was Patrick doing? They was getting ready to have parties for that draft day when the news came down. Patrick was doing Ensign Sirius. He was dialed into this thing.
Look at the texture. Kawhi who? Go Spurs go. Yeah, talk about a rebound.
Yeah.
So the superstar you get to rebound with.
Yes.
After losing, and by the way, that was a horrible, terrible, heartbreaking breakup.
Yeah.
I mean, he did y'all dirty. He ghosted y'all.
Gut-wrenching.
Y'all got ghosted.
Yeah.
Can we down mid Spurs fans? Y'all got ghosted, basically. Yeah. And then not only did y'all get ghosted, but he went and he won a championship with the next one. So he went upgraded and balled out. That was hard. How hard is it when the person that breaks up with you does you dirty? I mean, just dogs you. Everybody publicly humiliates you. All right, and dogs you, and then goes on, and then they get to shine in the limelight.
Exactly.
They had their biggest and brightest moment of their life and career for Kawhi Leonard was basically when he ghosted the Spurs
and went to
Toronto and won a championship and became the best player on the planet for that time being. For Spurs fans, I cannot imagine how much that hurt. I'm a Houston sports fan, right. So trust me, I've had my share of sports heartbreak.
You've had heartbreak.
That was, how could you watch that? Some of y'all probably didn't even watch it.
Well,
you couldn't even do it.
Just like this fan said, they don't watch the College World Series because their team isn't involved. That's how you felt when Kawhi was playing. Because when Kawhi went to Toronto, everybody was looking at it like, he's going to Toronto.
He's going to the basketball Siberia.
Yeah, they shipped him out, and he's going to get lost in the sauce. And then the next thing you know, he gets that ball to bounce off the rim 17 times before it goes down. and everybody loses their mind, and he's a champion.
Wow.
He's a champion
That would
without
hurt.
him.
I mean, he didn't really go to it. That's the point that Horace just brought up. We all thought he was being kind of, excommunicated.
Yes.
To the Siberia of the NBA.
We're sending him to Toronto.
Toronto.
They're gonna
man.
forget about him.
Exactly.
Oh man, you're out of the country.
The boy,
you know what
him
I'm
and
gonna
Drake,
do?
Drake up there. He didn't want to
Flying
hang
in
out with Drake.
OVO. He
He
flying
wouldn't even
with
hang
OVO.
out with Drake. Drake want to hang out and kick it. Cool. When was the last time we seen Kawhi and Drake together hanging out and kicking it?
Never. That's why.
Exactly.
That's why Drake keep getting braids because he want to be closer to Kawhi.
Kawhi wouldn't even hang out with Drake. And Drake, I think Drake would be cool to hang out with. I'd like to hang out with Drake.
For sure.
You know, Drake has been calling Kawhi and texting Kawhi.
He's
and
like, hey,
Kawhi
man, why is he not answering?
won't hit him back.
Why does he want to answer
One
me,
of
bro?
the few people that won't return Drake's call. Drake's like, he ghosted me too, bro. He treated y'all like he treated the Spurs. He treated Drake the same way. So don't take it personal, Spurs fans. That's Kawhi.
Oh, that is
right?
Kawhi. That's just who he is.
That's just who he is.
That's just who he is.
Drake
Don't
like,
take
man,
it
you want to
personal.
kick and hang out? You know what? OVO, baby. He's like, nothing. Crickets. Right? He's
It
like,
may
dude.
not mean nothing to y'all.
Right? You know Drake want to kick it,
Oh,
but
you know
no.
he wanted to.
No.
Nothing for you.
Kawhi got no time for
Kawhi
it.
had to move on, but now they get the hotter chick.
Yeah.
They get the one.
Now they get the one.
The most talked about player in NBA history, and he's not even in the NBA yet.
The basketball gods love the San Antonio Spurs.
Lines up
Because
perfectly for him every
anytime
time.
they're down, they end up getting the number one overall pick. The number one
Yeah.
overall pick.
Yeah.
Anytime they're not down very often as a franchise. And remember, I'm not saying I spoke it into existence. I think I jinxed myself before the draft. I literally did the numbers, and you can go back and listen to it. I think it's the May 15th show. Because they won the lottery on May 16th. May 15th, Raj Round the Day, I did a rant of the day of how the Spurs, just based on analytically and statistically, they have the best luck of any team in the NBA when it came to the NBA lottery, and it wasn't even close. Mm-hmm. And they did it again.
They keep making it happen.
And they did it again.
They keep making it happen.
Man, the basketball, they don't call on the basketball gods very often, but when they do, basketball gods
They answer the call.
They heed the call.
They answer the call.
Yes, they do.
I love it.
Okay, let's hear back from Wembanyama, some of the other pieces of audio from the JJ Redick show podcast that he was on. So he was also asked about why he didn't shut it down. This is interesting, why he didn't shut it down after the G League showcase. I mean, he could have shut everything down and still been a number one overall pick. Most players will. They'll decide, no, I'm hanging it up, I'm done.
Right.
He also just stopped playing in the French League playoffs or postseason.
The finals. That was the finals.
Last week.
Yeah, it was the
Right?
finals. Yeah.
And
they got swept.
Yeah, and he continued to play. He had I think
he had great
decent,
numbers.
Yeah, he had a decent series, but yeah, they ended up getting swept. But here is the answer Victor Wembanyama had when they asked him, why didn't you just hang it up and decide to stop playing when you were obviously going to be the number one overall pick? It's not who he is.
Hey, I'm not built like that.
Well, load management is in your future, son.
You are playing for the Spurs.
Oh,
he will load manage you.
Is he even going to play 60 games his first year with the Spurs? I don't know if I'd play him 60 games.
Well, here's the other part of it.
Because how many games does he play in the French League? Do we know?
No,
I got to go check it out, the number. Whatever it is, it ain't 80 something.
But then he also states that he wants to play in the Summer League this year too.
Good point.
And so that's another reason why you would think might be some load management in your future, because if you're playing all these games and they're going to have you play in the summer, or you're wanting to play, because initially the rumor was that he was not going to play in the Summer League and he wanted to definitely stay away from that. But then he just recently makes the comment, I'm going to play in the Summer League, and I want to make sure that I play.
I like the dedication. I do. I really admire the commitment. I'm all about it. But the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena Williams size, Cardi B size, Megan the Stallion size, but he's 7'4", 5, 6, whatever he is.
Yeah, he's all that.
And we know how, and he is a special kind of unique freak.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not comparing him in terms of his skill set to these other players, but usually when guys get that size in the NBA, there is a stigma attached to having the injury bug and having some issues being available through 80-something games. So, and now nobody plays 80-something games, no matter who you are.
No, even if you wanted to,
even if you
they
want
don't
to,
they don't let you play.
So he's going to play, I honestly, I think I'll put him at over-under, probably 65, and I'd say under. I'd probably try to keep him under that.
I'll call it a push because I think he's going to play right at 65.
Right at 65?
I think it'll be right at that number. That may be one of those numbers too, but you got to make sure he plays enough.
You got the development, of course.
And not only the development, but you got to be able to qualify for awards as well too.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about.
So you got to make sure that the balance on that. That's why the 25 games for Ja cost him money.
And you know who don't give a damn about that?
We know. Popovich.
Popovich said, well, you can shove your Rookie of the Year award.
Do you need that? Do you need that?
And your all rookie team?
Yeah.
You can shove
I'm trying
that?
to make your career Hall of Fame. I'm trying to make your Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, Pop don't give a damn about none of that stuff.
No, not at all. But his agent and the people that are going to be representing him are going to definitely put some cushions in there for him if he says, all right, man, if I'm close to that, if I'm on pace for that and you pull me out, somebody still got to give me my money.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. That would be an interesting conversation.
Now the player's still kind of in control of that.
Jack, what are your thoughts about Wemby, how much he plays? You watch a lot of NBA?
I think that he'll play. The Spurs, they do the load managing thing, but that's also they had a lot of aging stars, Tim Duncan, Ginobili, Tony Parker.
Very true.
I think the leash will be pretty long, but I think if there's any tweak, he's not playing through that. No injury, no minor. Like, if it's the playoffs, he'd be playing those type injuries. If he gets even the slightest thing, he's sitting for a week or two.
Yeah, it's just the history of bigs in the NBA. I'm talking really bigs. I'm talking about always feet, always ankles. Always lower bodies, exactly. That kind of stuff. I'd be really careful because once you get one injury, it seems to be a compounding issue, usually with big men like that, and it does it at an exponentially, faster rate than with smaller guys. It takes them a longer time to heal. So I'd just be really careful with it. I think the Spurs will be. And honestly, the truth is, you trust him more to be fully developed, at least to reach his ceiling with the Spurs, probably more so than any other organization. I mean, right? Other than maybe the Miami Heat or the Warriors. Denver's probably in that conversation. It ain't many. It's like 5 to 6 NBA teams in that conversation that he wouldn't be, at least some of his years wouldn't be wasted. None of them will be wasted with the Spurs. We know that.
No,
unfortunately.
Sure. Well, I mean,
for me as a Rockets fan, unfortunately, the Spurs will get every inch out of him. And now he's not gonna. It's not a guy you have to worry about. Looking at greener pastures later because he wants to be a Spur.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, too. You're talking about an organization that has had one big-time free agent signed with them in the last, 25 years? LaMarcus Aldridge?
But now does that open it up for him now because of him being that great of a potential
That's a good
player?
Point. Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, yeah, I definitely want to go play on that team.
That's fair.
But you got to be disciplined enough. And I saw a report today, is Chris Paul a person that we could talk about that could possibly be in the San Antonio Spurs organization, especially with his history with Pop, the USA team, and being around Pop and knowing what type of guy he is, and then coming in to teach a young Wembanyama about how to be a professional in the NBA.
Spurs
It'd be like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger and twins, because that's how the difference it would be.
No, but you're right. The Spurs have a lot of cap space. They are arguably one of the youngest teams in the NBA. If you just look at how young the overall roster is, and Wembanyama's still, one of the youngest players out there. But I do think with the bloated salaries now in the NBA and the new CBA kicking in, I believe it's July 1st.
Yeah.
The new CBA kicks in. remember, and we'll go to some of the details of this a little bit later because I want to get to a couple of more pieces of audio. The new CBA has very harsh restrictions and penalties and consequences for going over the luxury tax and the salary cap, like severe, extremely severe, to the point where it's not even really worth it. So a lot of teams, so the old model of being the Warriors where, we don't give a damn how much we pay in luxury tax. As long as we win in titles, it's worth it. It may not be worth it when you do the cost-benefit analysis kind of type thing. So, okay, a couple of other cuts here from Wemby. This one is about his kind of specialized training, and we just talked about injury with him, right? How do you prevent injury? A guy that size who also, has a skill set of a guy on the perimeter. Here is Victor Wembanyama. All right, so he does have, we'll get into some of the details, he does have a very specific workout regimen because he's just such a freak of an athlete and has such a unique skill set. Yeah, so he doesn't work out like everybody else. But either way, he's going to be, I think, one of the must-watch players in sports once he is officially on the court. Summer League even.
Stateside. He's stateside.
He's gonna make
now.
Summer League must watch. I don't think I've watched any Summer League. Now I gotta watch some Summer League.
I know you and Patrick gonna have time together over in y'all's neighborhood talking about, hey man, y'all want to watch Wemby tonight? Because Wemby is going to be must watch television. And the thing about it is, people across Europe know who he is. They know what he's all about. They've seen him. They've made the trip.
Household name.
It's all going to be the folks here in the United States that are going to be clamoring to go and see him. To your point, Summer League is going to be probably the craziest that it's been since LeBron and them got into the league.
Okay, so this last
20
cut,
years, by the way.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And this last cut, and I am praying that this gets on video ASAP, and his agent makes it a priority. He's going to tell a story about a freakish basketball. I don't even know if it's a basketball move. It's just an athletic, freakish move that he claims that he can do on a regular basis. It does not even sound like a human can even achieve what he is describing as something that he has done and will and can do.
He doesn't look human.
And he's claiming that he's going to get it on video. Like he's that bullish on it, and he's that arrogant. Like, no, I do this all the time, and I'm going to get it on video so everybody can see it. Here is Victor Wembanyama. Guys, I thought he was going to say like the bicycle kick too, where he's kind of flipping around like a soccer players do. And I was going, okay, that kind of makes sense.
I actually thought he was going to say I walked straight up and just knocked the ball out of there. That's what I thought he was going to say. I didn't know he was going to say with his foot.
We're talking about physics. I was like, okay, physics. If you're talking about just physics, it makes sense how, okay, just the bicycle kick and he's tall, you can do that. He is saying that when the ball gets wedged at the rim and the backboard, right there, behind the rim and the front of the backboard, when he gets wedged there, everybody's seeing that, he can kick it out.
He must have a hell of
Straight
a
up
Pilates coach.
What?
He must have serious yoga and flexibility.
Dude, that would win the dunk contest without even dunking. You can do that. He'd be the first one to win the dunk contest.
Without dunk.
He won the dunk contest. No dunk.
He didn't even dunk it.
It was like, nah, it's over.
Yeah, he did. Principles.
It's over, man.
It's principles.
It's over, man.
Wow.
What? He said he's gonna get it on video. Like, oh, I do it all the time.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. If he truly does it all the time, then I'm surprised that there hadn't been a video of it.
That's going to look like those Kobe videos. He's jumping over cars and stuff.
Yeah, you got to have the right angle.
Superhuman videos. That is freakish.
Got to have the right angles.
Wow. That one. Okay. Yes. Hey, Spurs fans, congratulations. Congratulations. That's like when your friend tell you they dating like somebody who's really rich and successful and good looking, and they can check all the boxes.
Trifecta.
You're like, you know what? Good for you. God bless you. Living that good life. Good for you, Spurs fans.
Yeah, y'all are in the right spot. Y'all got ding, 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 winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a win.
That's interesting.
Wow.
That is interesting. Wow.
Okay, let's get to some baseball on the other side. We'll talk about the Rangers. We'll talk about the Astros. Go Stros on the other side, right here on Ball Don't Lie. Wonderful Nunhorn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. It is hump day, and nothing gets you downhill over the hump, headed to the weekend like Bud Light. That's right. It's a sure sign of a good time, and the weekend's all about good times. And Bud Light turns good times into great times, and the rest of the times seem like the best of times. That's what Bud Light is all about. That's why it's the perfect beer for any occasion, and it's my favorite beer. It's been my favorite beer, even since my days on the 40 Acres, on 36th Street. Now, I still go out, and when I go out, I enjoy a nice ice cold Bud Light. But even when I was in the NFL, partying, having a good time, getting it up at the club, hey, I was drinking Bud Light then, and now I reward myself after a day of yard work or to decompress after a long, hard day with a nice ice cold Bud Light. It's never a bad time to break out the Bud Light. So folks, remember that Bud Light's still my go-to beer for those Longhorn tailgates on Saturdays and my NFL Sundays. So whether I want to toast and cheers to a brighter tomorrow or drown my sorrows, it's always a great time to break out the Bud Light. It isn't just for anybody, it's for everybody. So the best way to get the good times going is to keep the Bud Light flowing. Bud Light, brewed deep in the heart of Texas by Texans for Texans, and proud of it. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Jack takes songs from a certain soundtrack, and based on the songs that are played, Harj and I are supposed to gather clues and hints from these selections, breadcrumbs that lead us to the featured film of midweek movie music. All right, Harj, what are you thinking? I'm thinking a movie with Chris Tucker in it. I don't know why. Am I right about this, Jack? No.
You are not.
I like the fact, too. I'm thinking one like with Martin Lawrence.
Okay, there you go.
I'm thinking of one
That's
with
you kind of,
Martin
so we're thinking of the same
Lawrence.
thing.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of a Martin Lawrence movie or a Chris Tucker movie.
Because we're trying to get our card back.
I want to make sure we don't lose our black cards. I agree with Harj on this. So is it a Martin Lawrence movie?
It is not. It's the. I mean, 90s. Those guys were big in like the 90s. So you're in the right era, obviously.
Right.
But
okay,
this is a movie. I don't think people realize how killer this movie soundtrack is.
ooh, underrated movie soundtrack from the 90s.
Or maybe it is appropriately rated. I was not around in the 90s.
That's fair.
But I don't hear people talking about it now, and they should.
I'm glad you see. This is why we love Jack. This is why we love Jack.
That's like, hey, man, I was not around.
Exactly. Full disclosure. All right, I wasn't around, but I'm just telling you, giving you my opinion. I love it. All right, thanks, Jack. We appreciate that. We'll try to do better on the next clue. That's good though. At least we got the era.
Yeah, we've been working hard.
We got the era.
Yeah,
and we were both with black comedian who had their prime in the 90s. How are we here, Jack? And Jack's like, no.
That's Salt and Pepper, by the way.
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. That's actually another hint there.
Thank you.
Salt and Pepper on the soundtrack. Oh, man.
Dang it.
Okay. All right. We'll try to do better next time. Also, the umpires have to do better next time, too. The Rangers, they lost a nail biter, controversial one, to the White Sox on the road.
Literally a nail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So basically a play at home in the game between the Rangers and the White Sox, in which the catcher, Jonah Heim of the Rangers, set up the side of home plate. He received a throw from Travis Jankowski. It was perfect throw. It was on the money.
Yep.
And tagged out former Ranger, ironically, Elvis Andrews, or at least what we thought was a tag out. And the ref called it that. I see the official called it that way to keep the game tied 6-6 at the time. The White Sox challenged that call. Their contention was that Andrews was safe and that Heim blocked the plate, and that the replay review team in New York overturned it, actually.
Yep.
Which, to much to everybody's surprise, Bruce Bochy went out there and he ended up getting ejected. Here's a little bit of the breakdown of the action, just because it was kind of piecemeal together. So there you go. The broadcasters pretty much summed it up. Harj, you played a lot of baseball, seen a lot of baseball. What are your thoughts about the rule and the overturned call?
That overturn was absolutely horrible. There was nothing on the video that showed that he was per blocking the plate. If anything, he was on the back side of the plate, not even on the front side. And where he tagged him, he was so far away from home plate, there was no way he was impeding his progress or the slide rule or the blocking of the lane or any of that stuff was even in the same area code of what needed to be called. The right call was made initially. He was out, clear lane, everything was perfect. Wasn't even a bang-bang play. That's the other play. That's the other part. There wasn't even a collision. There was nothing that was saying this was a bad play by the catcher. He did absolutely nothing wrong.
Or a bad call by the official.
The original. It was the people in the review box that made the wrong call. And maybe they were looking at the wrong video, because that video that we saw in every single angle that I watched it in yesterday, that was the right call by the home plate umpire, punching him out. He was out by a mile, didn't even need to be that close, and it wasn't any way that they were blocking the play. Back in the day, they used to just straight run people over.
I remember that. I like that. What happened to that?
They try to protect it. Yeah, they trying to protect it because Buster Posey, who used to play for Bruce Bochy, got destroyed.
Yeah.
My boy Ryan, his brother Gary, got ran over by Brian Jordan. You remember Brian Jordan, the football player?
Yeah, played safety too, right?
Ran him over, and I'm talking about laid him back. He was never right after that. Never right after that.
You gotta take that
so
out
they
of the
try
game.
to take that out and away from the game. And there has been some bang bang plays. There has been some bang bang situations. But last night in the Rangers game, that was not, and it cost the Rangers the game because they got people thrown out too.
Yeah, that was a game deciding run essentially. Yeah. It basically ended up deciding the game. It was 6-6 then. Ended up being a 7-6 win for the White Sox. So the crowd went crazy.
Yep, exactly.
Here's Bruce Bochy, the manager, who was ejected. He's been ejected, twice now in the last 4 games or something like that.
For arguing.
And I love, listen, it takes him a while to get out there, too.
Yo, he takes his time out there. He's shuffling. He is shuffling.
He does
for
the
sure.
old man shuffle out there.
Right.
Here's Bruce Bochy, the Rangers manager, in the postgame.
Exactly.
It's embarrassing.
And not
it's embarrassing for
30
the league.
minutes later in a game against the Giants, they were playing in the game. 30 minutes later. It was a worse block of the plate, and they didn't overturn that. Those are the things that are, I mean, it's ridiculous. And again, what were we talking about the other day? The catch, no catch. Like, do we even know what a catch and no catch is? We were talking about the runner running down the first baseline. Mm-hmm. Is it the inside the line? Is it outside the line? They said that they were going to put bigger bases out there. There's so many things that have changed in this game, but the eye test seems to be failing everyone.
Yeah, it's like, I'm with you. It's the old definition of, I think it was indecency by the Supreme Court back in the day, but I believe the subject was pornography.
Yep.
And essentially the judge was like, decided, I know it when I see it. That's the definition of pornography by the Supreme Court. I know it when I see it. All right, you know porn when you see porn, and you can, differentiate it from other types of nudity or other things like that. And I'm with you. Well, you should know it when you see it, whether somebody's blocking the plate. And that was not blocking the plate.
That was not even close.
He was
to blocking
being actually polite.
He let you have it.
He gave you a little.
He gave you the lane.
I'm only going to take my half of the play here, man. So you got to give you a little lane just in case you got it. He was so confident that I was going to tag him out. He was like, no, I got it. I'm just tag him out.
Here you go. You're out.
It
Your
was,
route.
that was really interesting. Okay, getting to the Astros really quickly. Ghostros, they get a win. Finally, they needed one really bad actually. 4-2 win for the Astros over the Mets. They meet up with Justin Verlander
Yup.
on the mound, so a little revenge game for the Astros. But Verlander on the mound versus Framber Valdez, and man, Valdez was out there dealing. Verlander had a decent night too. I think it was 7 innings pitched, allowed 8 hits, 0 walks, and 5 strikeouts. But man, Framber Valdez through 7. Now they end up catching up to him basically by the 8th inning, but through 7 innings, man, he was basically unstoppable out there.
Right. Remember
and-
last year about his quality starts.
Yes.
He led the major leagues in quality starts last year.
And he was at it once again.
Yep,
I think
another
he
one.
still qualified, because through 7, he had allowed just 1 hit, had 1 walk, and had 9 strikeouts. And then the 8th inning, you can tell they figured out something because they got 2 hits off of him. They got a single, they got a double, and they got a sacrifice fly. So they started to figure out some things. Then after that, they let Framber kind of have his day, and the Astros end up getting the win 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Javier on the mound for the Astros next
Love the
game.
fact that Chris, and they're actually playing right now as we
Oh, there
speak.
you go.
They're up
So-
9-8 in the bottom of the 6th.
There you go.
Ooh,
Yep.
9-8.
And
Yeah.
Yiner Diaz hit another home run.
Nice.
Nice. Yep.
Oh, man. Yeah, 9-8.
So they bring in a little something for
I'm
you.
assuming Christian Javier didn't have a great start then.
Yeah. It is safe to
It
say.
is safe to say.
It is.
All right, we'll give you an update on that, update on the College World Series as well, because top of the 9th, it is now tied 2-2 between Florida and TCU. So keeping you up to date with that. We'll come back. We'll get into the flex on the other side. I'll give you some details about that right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Oh, man. Wow. It is midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when my man Jack, Twisting and Tweaking the Dials, takes songs from a soundtrack that inspired him, and based on these selections that are played, Harge and I are supposed to gather clues and hints, breadcrumbs that lead us to the featured film of midweek movie music. And Harge is upset with himself because he thinks it's on the tip of his tongue.
It is.
He's close.
And I can't.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Get it.
I know it wouldn't be as simple.
Oh, you know what?
It's not White Man Can't Jump, is it? It's not that simple, is it? What is it? Go, you get it. What is it? Go.
Is this Space Jam?
It's Space Jam.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, because time keeps on slipping into the future. Is this the original one, right?
This is a
Number
seal
one.
covering
Yes,
Steve Miller Band.
it's the one. It's number
Patrick
one.
already did Space Jam, I
He
believe.
did the one with LeBron,
Huh?
I think. I think he did the one with LeBron.
I'm not sure which one he did, but I know he
Yeah,
did Space Jam.
yeah.
I'm not sure which
And that's
one
why
he
I'm
did.
like, oh, wait a minute. Is this the one with the Monstars?
Okay, there you
Trying
go.
to take all the power
Nice.
away from
I
him?
like that. There you go.
Do.
Okay, there you go. Space Jam is
Oh,
the
man.
movie that is inspired. Thanks, Harge. Good job there.
Man, my mind was like, I know this. I've seen this sequence in a movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen Space Jam in a while.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a long
I
time.
got kids.
I ain't gonna
so,
lie.
we
That's
don't be
true.
watching. We didn't watch the
a
LeBron
good
one.
point.
They won't watch the LeBron one.
They
so
won't watch the LeBron one at
No.
all?
Remember I told
Man,
you.
raising
It's
some
an
LeBron haters?
I'm not.
Yeah, you
Mama
are.
is.
You raising
I can't,
LeBron
I'm
haters.
not finna argue
Was she
with her.
winning?
She's definitely gonna win on that one. Hey,
They
bro,
at your house,
when
you like,
but
they,
when you,
they hate LeBron, and she's a LeBron hater, and you love LeBron, and your kids hate LeBron, then she won.
so what do you always say? Pick the battles that you really want to fight.
You don't want to fight
I
the
don't-
LeBron battle?
Nah, man, I ain't fighting for LeBron. I got too many other things to do.
I feel you on that. Go to FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. You can go check out the website right now and get all of the information about the local flex area teams that are in the state 7-on-7 tournament. That's happening June 22nd tomorrow and throughout the 24th. And that is going to be in College Station, and it's going to be hot.
It is definitely gonna be hot.
so
Hydrate, kids.
Yeah, so best of luck to all the Austin area teams. You got a lot of teams on there. You can go check out all the teams and the pods and pools that they're competing in the 7-on-7 state tournament up at FLXATX.com.
And shout out to Nathan Duval. He plays for Westlake Chaparrals. He was named Central Texas Player of the Year, All Syntex Player of the Year. So shout out to him and congratulations to all those that made all kinds of all state, all district, every honor that you can get. Salute to all those players that were able to do so.
Yes, no doubt. All right, go to FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. We come back, we'll get into some breaking NBA news.
Say what?
And then we'll try to get to the Longhorn football nuggets that we can get to. But if not, then we got to make sure we're out early because Chipper Jones is going to be joining us for the Harge Knock Life,
CJ.
courtesy of my man Mike Harge, opening up his contact list once again. So we'll get into that next segment. Don't want to miss it right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Jack takes songs from a soundtrack that inspired him, and based on these selections that are played, it's up to Harge and I to gather clues and hints that lead us to the featured film of midweek movie music. And Harge got it last segment. It's Space Jam, the first Space Jam, the original Space Jam. So thanks to my man Jack for working hard behind the scenes. You can be a part of the show. You're the heartbeat of this thing. On the Specs text line 512-337-3776. That's the number. You also can hit us up via Twitter. Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Jack is at Jack A. Farrell. That's like Colin, not Will.
Not
Correct.
Will.
Yeah. And I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse, and you can hit us up there as well. Okay, the breaking news before we get to some Texas football conversation here. And if we run out of time because we got to get out early to make sure we have time for Harsh Knock Live, because you got a very special guest coming on for the people.
That's right. We got Hall of Famer Chipper Jones coming on to talk Major League Baseball. He probably get into a little bit of College World Series. And a lot of people don't know he played wide receiver in high school, so he wants to talk a little bit of football, too.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, so that'll be coming up for Harsh Knock Life. You don't want to miss it. So here is the breaking news. Comes from, it's a Woj bomb. Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that the Celtics are working on a trade to acquire the Wizards' Kristaps Porzingis in a 3-team deal that sends Malcolm Brogdon to the Clippers, and L.A. would be sending Marcus Morris, Amir Coffey, and the 30th pick to Washington. Sides are still working on the agreement. Woj also reports that Porzingis would opt into his $36 million 2023-24 deal to make the potential trade happen, but there are still outstanding issues to be completed before a deal can be reached. Boston's Danilo Gallinari would also be in the deal to the Wizards as well. So there you go.
I like it for Boston. I like it a lot for Boston, but the problem is this. Is Porzingis going to be able to stay healthy? We know that he's had some health issues throughout time, and now he's got to be tough when you go and play for Boston. I mean, you got to be one of those guys that are willing to lay it on the line every single night because, number one, the fans aren't going to put up with it. And number two, these guys have a lot that they have left on that bone. They should have been playing for a championship, and they got ousted, and they're still living with that. So what did they do? They went out and tried to make a move, tried to bring in Porzingis. I like him. I thought it was. I think he's a good player. Rod, you were talking about it earlier today. I mean, this is somebody that could be on multiple teams and can be successful.
Oh yeah,
but he has to. But he has to stay on the court.
Yeah, no, I actually had him in my notes. There are a lot of NBA rumors, and one of the reports, at least the rumors out there, was that he would be available on the trade market, and I thought the Rockets should be interested in Kristaps Porzingis. I literally have in my notes, Rockets should pursue Kristaps Porzingis. His shooting percentage, his true shooting percentage last year, 62.7%. He's just 27. He averaged 23 points per game. He's a great drop defender. He's not necessarily a great defender in the pick and roll, but as a drop defender, using the right way, he's not a liability defensively either. But that's obviously something the Celtics were thinking about too.
Absolutely. And think about this. Brad Stevens, remember him from Butler? He was the head coach. Now he's working in the front office. I think he's more of the new age Danny Ainge, because Danny Ainge, when he went to the front office, he made a bunch of moves, and a lot of them they hit. And think about this. He traded Kemba Walker for Al Horford. He traded Langford, and a first-round pick or a future-round pick for Derek White for the Spurs.
Yeah, worked out.
Then he traded Theis and some pennies for Malcolm Brogdon, and he came in, and wasn't he like sixth man of the year this year? And now they just traded Malcolm Brogdon for Porzingis. So he's making major moves that is trying to put Boston in that upper echelon. But the problem is they have to finish. They've had the talent. They just have to finish.
And they're deep.
Yes.
They're going to be able to bring either Porzingis off the bench, Derek White off the bench, Marcus Smart, Rob Williams. They're deep, and they have a ton of different lineups that they could use depending on team, that like there's not a lot of teams that they don't match up well with right now.
Yeah.
And I wonder, because if you'll get a couple of teams, and maybe we're starting to see it already, that'll go all in this season, because the new CBA kicks in July 1st for the NBA. I brought this up earlier. It kicks in July 1st. And based on all the reports, and for those insiders who have read the new CBA, it's going to restrict a lot of teams' ability in terms of team building. It's going to restrict their ability to operate outside of the salary cap, meaning that that luxury tax that usually some teams don't give a damn about, the Clippers and the Lakers, who have 9-figure luxury taxes, and they figure, oh, it's just money, we'll make it up on the other side somehow. This new CBA is going to have much harsher restrictions and penalties and consequences for teams going over that luxury tax. So this is from Forbes. Just some of the research I was doing. Here's from Forbes. It says, and this is a quote from Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports. He says there is a sentiment among league personnel in Chicago this upcoming offseason will be busy with player movement and franchise-altering transactions. Another quote from Zach Lowe from the Zach Lowe podcast. He says, quote, I think the next year in the NBA could be an unbelievable period of superstar and star player movement because you've just got a lot of rolling situations. You have 1 year left before the really, really harsh trade rules kick into place after the 2023-24 season, where teams over the second apron, that's another threshold of the luxury tax they put in that makes it a really harsh penalties once you pass that. He said once you get past the second apron, like the Clippers, for instance, can't even aggregate salaries. Like they can't add up money to bring in a big money player. That's starting after next season. I think we can see a ton of movement in the offseason and up to the deadline, and a ton of big names moving because teams are not only unloading salary, trying to avoid those upcoming penalties, but also some teams, maybe like the Celtics, who are saying, we better go all in right now because the way we built this team is not sustainable with a new CBA and the restrictions. So here's some of the restrictions and penalties. So the new CBA introduces a second salary cap apron, which I just mentioned, set at $17.5 million above the luxury tax line. That's the second threshold. And it heavily punishes teams that cross that threshold. Beginning this summer, teams above the second apron will lose access to the taxpayer mid-level exception, and they'll be limited to taking back no more than 110% of the salary that they send out in trades, as opposed to, I think, it's like 125%. The penalties get even harsher in 23-24. Starting next offseason, teams above the second apron can't take back money. They can't take back more money, I should say, than they send out in trades. They can't trade a first-round pick 7 years in the future. They can't aggregate salaries in trades or receive players on existing contracts if they sign and trade away their own free agents. I mean, it's just a ton of them. In other words, beginning 24-25, teams above the second apron will be limited to re-signing their own players and handing out veteran minimum contracts in free agency. They also have 4 more restrictions than they currently do on the trade market. So this is why you may see a ton of movement both ways, teams trying to avoid those harsh restrictions, so they're unloading salary and trying to get rid of it, and also teams who are close, like the Celtics, or maybe like Matt Ishbia, the owner of the Suns, and the Suns are going, no, man, we're going all in because we only got 1 or 2 more years to do it, and after that, the salary cap is not going to allow us, or you can do it, but not allow us to do it without really severe, extreme penalties in going over that second apron of the luxury tax.
Yeah, so that is why I'm always looking at it and saying, did he already know going in, I'm going to make this trade for Bradley Beal. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to get obviously we got KD. We got all this money on our books right now. I need to go ahead and try to push this envelope because, to your point, I don't know how much longer KD's going to be playing at this higher level. I don't know how long Devin Booker's still kind of young and still in the game. But KD may want to leave here in the next
may
couple
wanna
years.
leave.
You know, it might be a move that he wants to make.
Yep.
So when you look at it that way, I'm just like, okay, here we go. This is something to pay attention to.
Yeah, the NBA basically is going to reward teams for having more homegrown models, I imagine.
Yeah.
Makes it a lot harder to just fill out a roster with those connective pieces, you know?
Yep.
I wonder if it, because I think the stars are going to get paid whatever. Do you think it drives the price for good role players way down because teams aren't going to want to spend, $20 million on a Mikal Bridges type, a very high-end role player? Are they going to get, shafted and get bad money, and then superstars still making $40-50 million?
Great point. You know what? I think you're right about that because
You have to pay for the star. LeBron's going to get LeBron money.
Yeah, exactly. You just and it'll put more emphasis on, like you said, development, like what Miami's doing, like development and trying to find those hidden gems and your G League development and all that kind of stuff. I think it'll put a lot more emphasis on that and you're right, it'll devalue the veteran role player that's in the NBA making a ton of money, but you don't get a ton of value or a lot of return on that investment.
Right.
Like Marcus Morris, who was in this
He'll be a
in this
part of
trade, he makes like $18 million a year.
Yeah.
Like that money's not going to. That is a bad contract.
That
but
is a bad
he's not going to make
contract.
that kind of money. Also, the Clippers getting Brogdon basically for Marcus Morris. That's a great get for them too.
That's a
he has a lot of
great
injury
move.
concerns, but he's a very good player, and they need guards.
Yeah. They need a lot of
That's
guards.
another team that needs to be all in right now. The Clippers.
Yeah. That's
Go
what I'm
get
saying.
CP3,
Like,
baby.
They'll
Right.
definitely be over that luxury. I mean, they're paying it right now, a 9-figure luxury tax, so they'll be past that threshold. No question.
Bomber got that.
Bomber does have that.
Bomber
He don't
saying,
care.
let's go. We got to go, guys. We got to go.
Yeah, he don't care nothing about that. You're right. Now, some teams may decide they don't care. Maybe
Yeah.
Matt Ishbia of the Suns, maybe he's one of those guys too. But really interesting how the NBA, a lot of the insiders think the next two off seasons is going to be really busy with a lot of turnover with the star power in the NBA
Yeah.
because teams need to figure out if they're going all in or if they need to dump salary because the new CBA is it's a lot more restrictive
Yeah.
when it comes to the way you maneuver a salary cap.
Man.
You circumvent the salary cap. Okay, we'll get to some more NBA talk because we'll get to some sound from Wimby, as the Spurs fans are affectionately already calling him. We'll get to that sound. He was on the JJ Redick.
They calling him El
podcast.
Capitan right now.
Hey, man. I'm sure he's going to have many nicknames
Yeah,
before it's
for
all
sure.
said and done.
For
He's
sure.
going to have a ton of those. But yeah, Victor Wembanyama, tomorrow, of course, expected to be the number one overall pick by the San Antonio Spurs. All right, there are some Longhorn football-related news, notes, and nuggets that I want to hit. Just a couple of off-season topics that have come across my timeline that I think are interesting. So Ryan Niblett, we brought this up a little bit yesterday, but one of the reports out there, this is from Eric Naline of Inside Texas, does a great job over there. A report that Niblett is on campus, and he's running nearly 23 miles per hour when Texas measured players'
That's what it sounds
speed
like when that goes by you.
doing summer workouts. 23 miles per hour.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What did we say the other day? He can run.
He can run.
That's running.
He did. I think he was a 10-4, 700-meter guy.
Yeah.
So he can go 10-4, some 21, I think a 21.5, 200-meter guy. So he can run. And we know Sark. Sark's obsessed with speed. Sark's all about it. Matter of fact, they just signed some other speed demon.
Yeah.
And I believe in the 2024 recruiting class. But Sark's he's got another one. And Sark will always, I would think, emphasize and prioritize speed over other attributes of a receiver.
Yeah, he ran.
Hands, size, whatever. Doesn't matter.
He got the commitment from Freddie DuBose Jr.
That's the guy.
in 2024.
That's the guy.
That's the guy that can run too. And to your point,
He
he
can
ran Ryan Niblett ran a 10-4 in the regionals to get there. So that is something that's where everybody's fast. And if you don't come out there, you get embarrassed. And I don't think he got embarrassed. And to your point about Coach Sark and what he looks for as far as the speed element of it, what does he always say? I want our wide receivers to catch the ball moving. Because if they can catch the ball moving, that means that the other person has got to catch up with them. Mm-hmm. So if he can get the ball to the right people, if that's what's going to happen, that is going to be huge. If he can be a guy that can get on the field quickly, I know there's not enough footballs to go around, but we've seen Sark be able to move the ball around and get it to his playmakers, and hopefully Ryan Niblett. Jonte Cook, and, of course, Nayor and A.D. Mitchell and X-Man are all going to be a part of it. And, again, let's not forget about my guy, Jordan Whittington.
Jay Witt, man.
Yeah.
He's the leader in that room.
He has to be.
I know X-Man is the top receiver in that room, but
Right.
Jay Witt's the leader in that
Exactly.
room. No question about it. Okay, let's get to some of the other reports. I saw that there was a report from C.J. Vogel, the Football Brainiacs. He also does a really good job covering Texas football. He's giving some good reviews, optimistic reviews about members of the offensive line. Specifically, he's talking about DJ Campbell, looking really impressive, interior offensive lineman.
One of the names I mentioned yesterday.
Yeah, he's a guy that's getting some good. I mean, they are loaded on the O-line.
Oh, my goodness. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, they bring back
not
all five
ridiculous,
starters. It is.
Yeah.
You're talking about one of the deepest O-line units, at least based on the talent, the upside of it in the country. And whether you're talking about DJ Campbell, who I said CJ Vogel of Football Brainiacs reporting that he looks really good, like his physique has changed. That now he's starting to his body looks different. And that's important for offensive linemen because usually everybody ain't like Kelvin Banks. Even though they had 2 freshmen start last year,
Right.
that's the exception to the rule. Usually it takes those guys a while to get in the program, to get kind of that grown man body. It looks like DJ Campbell may be getting it. Also, somebody who's getting a lot of good reviews that I've heard of also is Cam Williams.
Yes. Those are the guys that we expect a lot from. As we talked about, you're only good as your depth that can come in and fill in and not miss a beat. You can all have enough players on the squad. You can have people in those positions, but how far is the fall off going to be if they are thrust into action? We saw last year that they were trying to rotate some guys in and out. Some was because of injury, some was lack of effort, but majority of it is these guys are now getting a chance to work with the offensive line coach, the same offensive line coach, working on their technique. The fundamental part of all of this is just that. How fundamental are you? How is your technique? And that will get you through a lot of stuff. Sometimes you just got to be a natural athlete, but if your technique is there, it gives you a better opportunity to win those battles up front.
Shout out to Anwar Richardson. He was the one that had the report about Cam Williams and how good he looks. So you got separate sources giving a lot of props to different young guys on that O-line who are going to step up. You may have guys who are backups now who have higher upsides than the starters.
Yep.
And it's possible you can end up upgrading somewhere during the season. And it was actually a rare occasion. You had all 5 offensive linemen start every game last year for Texas. That is also something that's rare. You just don't see that even in Texas history or even across the country. So there's also in another report, since we're talking about guys who are getting rave reviews in the offseason for Texas football, people still talking about Malik Murphy and how much of a natural leader he is and how charismatic he is. So there's another guy still keeps. I mean, even from the time that he got in the spring game, where we know he impressed so many people, and he was so impressive, in fact, that he was being tampered with to leave Texas and pursue NIL opportunities via the transfer portal at other schools, and probably could have started at other schools, but he wanted to stay at Texas. He believes in Steve Sarkisian, really likes Texas, and it's reported by Horns 24/7 that he's carrying himself with a lot of confidence early this summer. Because remember, he's been hurt most of these off seasons.
Yeah, he hadn't been able to participate in 2 years, and every time we've gotten a chance to see him, just looking at him, we got a chance to see how smooth he is throwing the football, how effortless it jumps out of his hand. So that's something, too, that you continue to say, all right, what is going to be the plan? Is this where he finally feels comfortable if the game starts slow, kind of like what we were talking about before last year, where the game against Oklahoma State, where we kept saying there should have been a move, and he stuck with them. Was that an opportunity where he felt comfortable enough to pull him out of the game? The maturity level of Quinn Ewers now is going to be totally different. He's not going to be a fragile mindset as he was before. Possible. I don't know for a fact. But I'm just saying now he's at a place where he feels comfortable. You got a backup that is highly touted now. And you got another one when you look at Arch Manning. I'm not saying he's going to be in there, but you've got guys that are talented as your starting quarterback.
Since we're talking about Malik Murphy, and I can't really I need to make sure I get the podcast so I can give them credit, and I will do that while the audio plays. But here is sound of Peyton Kirkland, who's a member of that Texas offensive line. He was on a podcast, and listen to the audio. They're asking about Texas football, a lot of different things, and he goes on to rave about Malik Murphy. And they want to talk about Quinn Ewers. He wants to talk about Malik Murphy. Here's Peyton Kirkland. Okay. Shout out to my man, 40 Acres Landlord. He's a good follow if you're a Longhorn fan. Always comes out with great content like that. It wasn't his podcast, but he was the one where I got the video. And I think it's like D-Rap or O-Rap podcast. Did my best.
Yeah.
But
you was trying to give him a shout.
I'm trying to give them a shout. I'm trying to steal their material
Nope, not at
without
all.
giving them credit.
Exactly.
But man, you see, you hear the audio, I should say. I'm looking at it. But you can hear the audio and hear how enthusiastic and how high and optimistic he is about the future of Texas football whenever Malik Murphy gets his chance. And I happen to think that Malik Murphy is staying here at Texas, not only because of NIL, I'm sure they gave him a nice chunk of change and hooked him up with a bag, good for them, but also
Good for him.
well,
For earning that.
He earned it. That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying. Good for them.
Good for
They were
him
able to keep
and
him.
them. Yeah, that's
Good
right.
for them. They were able to keep him because I think he would have went to a Power 5 university and been starting for a Power 5 university. Sark says he's got the strongest arm on the team. I think he's confident enough to look at Quinn Ewers and look at Arch Manning and say to himself, I can play with these guys. Honestly, I believe I'm just as good, if not better, than these guys. If I ever get my chance, sorry, I'm not giving up the job, whether it be because of injury or if it be because of production and performance. When I get the job, I'm not giving up the job.
You think we could go on a run like Oklahoma?
That's what I'm saying.
With their quarterbacks?
I think he could, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you're going to be Lincoln Riley.
I don't know if you're going to win all them Heismans.
17, 18,
Heisman.
19, three straight first-round picks.
Number one overall pick.
That's my fantasy.
Number one. I don't know if we can do that.
My fantasy is it's Quinn this year, Malik next year.
Yeah.
Both of them first-round picks, and then you get the Arch.
That would be great. And you're right. That'd be awesome. And
In
maybe
today's world, that would be outstanding.
Yes, and maybe that's what Malik sees. But I also think he sees an opportunity to play if things happen the way they happened last year.
Yep.
Malik's going to play.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Now, Sark will have to, I don't know, have to do something about his pride and ego because no quarterback is above being benched, Sark.
Yep.
No quarterback. VY got benched. Chris Sims got benched. You can get benched. No quarterback is above being benched. And he, for some reason, believes Quinn Ewers is above being benched. No. No quarterback, no player matters more than the team, and the team is about the win.
Victory!
The team is about
That's
the
what
dub.
we need.
Yeah.
That's all
So,
we need.
no, there's no player above that. If he's having a terrible game
Yeah.
and such a bad game that it's hurting his team, and actually it is costing his team a dub, which we'll admit that Quinn Ewers Oklahoma State performance, I think it did. You should take him out and put in somebody who has a chance to play better and give you a better chance to win. And Sark didn't do that last year. He better be prepared to do it this year. If he loses the game this year over that decision, that may cost him in more ways than he would like.
Yeah. I'm looking at it the same way. I'm like, hey, man, there's not a chance for you to sit there and say, we got to worry about feelings. You need to worry about job security and dubs.
Dubs, man.
That's all that you need to be worried about, and whatever it takes. And everybody in that locker room should feel the exact same way. So if you have to make a change, people are prepared for you. But most importantly, they need to be prepared for you not to have to make that change by going out and performing at a very high level.
Agreed. All right, Harsh Knock Life, what you got for the people?
We got our man Chipper Jones coming to join us. Going to talk everything MLB. We're going to talk a little bit of football, talk about his favorite teams, and we're going to talk a little bit about the draft because, hey, he was drafted number 1 overall in the 1990 draft.
Ooh, I like that. All right, we coming back. We're going to have sports royalty on for Harsh Knock Life right here on Ball Don't Lie. Wonderful down the horn.
Welcome back to the midweek movie edition of Ball Don't Lie. It's your boy Hardball Harge, and our midweek movie was what? Space Jam. Basketball draft is coming up, so it's going to be real exciting. But we love it. You can follow us on Twitter at Hardball Harge. You can follow my man at Rob Babers, and you can also follow the man behind the glass at Jack A. Farrell, like Colin, not like Will Farrell. And we love it when you're a part of the show. Hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. And joining us right now on the Vaquero Cafe and Cantina hotline, he was the number 1 overall draft pick in the 1990 Major League Draft for the Atlanta Braves. He made his Major League debut in 1993. He played for one organization in his entire 20-year career. He won the National League MVP in 1999. He's an 8-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger Award winner. He won the batting title in 2008, where he was batting over 400 through 73 games. We'll get into that conversation. Was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2018, and he's also the hitting consultant for the Atlanta Braves, my man Larry Wayne Jones, but better known as Chipper Jones. What's up, Chip? How you doing, brother?
Fellas, how are y'all?
What's up?
Good to be with y'all.
Glad to have you back
Thanks
on
for
with
joining
us,
us,
man.
brother.
It's been really fun talking about some of the things that are going on with the MLB, but we can start right now with Luis Arraez right now, leading the major leagues in hitting. Last night, I think he went 1 for 4, so he's back down to 398. And as we were talking about him yesterday, my man Rob B said the last person to be flirting with 400 during this time was one Chipper Jones.
Oh, shizzle.
What does that feel like to know every time you go to the plate, it's almost guaranteed you're going to get a hit?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really special, at least first half. I think I was sitting somewhere around 380 at the All-Star break, and man, I called home a couple times. Normally, I call home, talk to my dad whenever I was struggling, but this was I was calling home and going, Pops, man, I can flip 2 out there every night. You know, it just seemed like I get jammed, I'd fist the ball in the center. I'd break my bat and I'd, muscle it over the shortstop's head. It was just everything fell in, everything worked, just fell in for me that first half. It's good to see somebody else, flirting with that number. Luis Arraez, man, good gracious. He's just a hitting machine. He was a hitting machine in Minnesota. How you let that guy go?
Right.
To another ball club. He's got 3 5-hit games this month, and we ain't even 3 weeks into the month yet. So he's quite a talent. I think you're looking at. I liken him to he got a little Rod Carew in him, which I like. There's not a lot of juice there, but man, he hits the ball from foul pole to foul pole, on a line, hard, basically every time up. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it definitely is fun to watch. And we were talking about it. It's like you said it perfectly, because I kept saying he doesn't even go up there and he's not going to hit a lot of home runs. I think he might have 16 in his career. Home runs, but he's just up there setting the table, and he won the batting title, I believe, last year before he came over to the Marlins. So you already know that this is a guy that is very disciplined at the plate, and when he does get the barrel to it, he normally gets a knock. I do want to ask you, though, about the sensation for the Cincinnati Reds. They brought up that new young player, De La Cruz, and he has done some of the things that I've never seen done. We play with a lot of guys that could run. We play with a lot of guys that got power. We have a lot of guys that were exciting to see. But since he's been up to the big leagues, they've won 10 straight games in 12 out of the 14 games that he's been in the big leagues. They've got an 11-game hit streak right now. 11-game winning streak as they won today. How exciting are the Cincinnati Reds to see?
Yeah, I got a chance to see him early on in the season. They had some injuries. Obviously, De La Cruz wasn't up yet. Joey Votto been hurt most of the first half. They weren't pitching well when we saw him, so we were able to get to him pretty good. But this is a club behind Hunter Green on the mound, throwing 100 plus. I understand he just went on the DL, so we'll see how that affects them. But they got some guys that are really playing well for him. And I think a guy like Ellie De La Cruz has just infused life in that whole clubhouse, in that whole dugout. I mean, the guy looks like an absolute clone of the guy from Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Cruz.
Cruz, yes.
And, I mean, unfortunately, he got hurt earlier in the season. We haven't been able to see him. But, man, these two, you put them side by side, I don't think you could tell them apart. Just unbelievable specimens, big shortstops, third baseman, can fly, can hit the ball out of the ballpark. But I think it's just the charisma that these guys have. They're just fun to watch. They're out there having fun, and they're freakishly good athletes that people just don't see on the baseball field at that size.
Right.
Hey, Chipper, speaking of, that's a great segue. Freakish athletes that people are not used to seeing. Just give me your thoughts about Shohei and what he's doing, man, because there's no comparison to it right now in any sport, I don't know, in the world potentially. I'm not sure if we've ever seen anything like it.
No, he's the modern day Babe Ruth. Only, he's not facing dudes throwing 80 miles an hour. He's facing dudes throwing 100, and leading the league in homers. He's throwing 100 and striking out, some of the best players in the game. He is by far the American League MVP in a runaway here in the first half. I know Judge had a monster year last year to kind of keep him from winning a couple in a row, but he's going to be back on the horse this year. As long as he stays healthy, keeps doing what he's doing, he's on a pace for, I think, close to 50 homers. I mean, can you imagine that? 50 homers, and you're the number one, you're
crazy.
The Anaheim Angels number one pitcher. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start the All-Star game for the American League this year on the bump. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to compete with that kind of dominance, both offensively and on the mound, if you are looking to be in the running in the American League for the MVP.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We were talking about him and just the freakishness about all the stats and how he leads Anaheim with every single category, both offensively and defensively. It is just something to behold, man. We're talking to Hall of Famer Chipper Jones. And, Chipper, we wanted to talk a little bit about the Texas Rangers. We're going to get to your Atlanta Braves here in just a second. But before the season, we got a chance to talk to you, and we had mentioned the Texas Rangers and how exciting they are going to be this year. They seem to have everything balanced out. It sucks that they lost DeGrom, but some of the other pitchers are stepping up, Nathan Eovaldi. But their offense is plus 150 on a run differential and just coming up with big hit after big hit. Last night, they got kind of messed over at that play at the plate. We'll get your thoughts on that as well. But talk about what you've seen from the Texas Rangers.
Exactly what I expected to see from a Bruce Bochy managed ball club. Very fundamentally sound, throw the baseball, hit the baseball, catch the baseball. They're doing it. It's good to see Seager and Simeon doing their thing at the top of the lineups. Corey Seager's, been one of my favorite players to watch for the last few years. I think he's a tremendous ball player. It's going to be a big. It's not necessarily a big blow to lose to DeGrom right now. Obviously, you'd be better off with a healthy JD.
Yeah.
But I think it's really going to hurt Texas come postseason. Eovaldi's had a great start to the season. Hopefully he can keep that up and keep them up at top. I'm tired of seeing the Houston Astros up there all the time. Let's get some new blood up there.
You knew you were going to
get. There's probably a bunch of Astro fans out there I just pissed off royally.
One of them is sitting across from me right now.
Right. We'll be back, baby. We'll be back.
But it does make a lot of sense.
One of those guys that is actually in the running for maybe first half MVP, Adolis Garcia. I mean, a tremendous first half. When the Braves went out there, we couldn't get him out. He was taking people left and right. I think one of the league leaders in RBIs and home runs. So they got plenty of thump to be able to hang throughout the course of the season and the postseason. I just wonder how far that starting staff's going to take them.
Yeah, that's been a lot of the conversation around here as well. We're talking to Hall of Famer Chipper Jones. And Chip, obviously your Atlanta Braves are back in first place in the NL East, 47-26, winners of 7 straight. Talk about your staff and some of those big-time players that you have on the offensive side. I know we've had the conversation prior to this year, but even at the beginning of this season, we were talking about Ronald Acuna and how special of a player he is, and all he does is entertain every single time he steps out there.
Yeah, you just feel like every time you go to the ballpark, and I get to watch it every day, but every time you go to the ballpark, you're going to see him do something special. He's going to tomahawk a line drive to the opposite field that don't get more than 20 feet off the ground. It's just like you look at whoever you're there with, and you're like, damn, that was awesome. He's on the on a pace for 30 and 70 bags. I mean, that's never been done before. He's the real deal. He's 5 tools. He can run, he can throw, he can field it, he can hit. He's hitting for average this year, and obviously the pop's off the charts. I said this a couple weeks ago. I said, if Michael Harris gets going in the 9-hole, this team's going to be scary. And for about the last 2.5 weeks, Michael Harris has been going, and you've seen the result. When you got that guy who I think Michael Harris is going to be a superstar. A Gold Glove caliber player in center field, can run, can steal bases, can hit for power. You got that in the 9-hole. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's an
rookie of the year last year.
Yeah, it's an embarrassment of riches. At times, seems like offensively the Braves can bang with anybody. I think they're leading all of baseball or close to lead. I know they're leading the National League in home runs, and they're not striking out as much as they have in the past. Mm-hmm. But again, I worry, and these are my boys. We've had some injuries to the starting rotation, Max Fried and Kyle Wright. We have not had at all basically for the entire season, save maybe, 5 or 6 starts. And, we're going to have to get those guys back because, it's going to fall on Spencer Strider to go out there and win every time he goes to the mound. Charlie Morton to win every time he goes to the mound. And, you got to have those guys back in the rotation, or else you're leaning on rookies that are in that situation for the first time, and we all know how that usually goes.
Yeah, speaking of rookies, we're going to ask you about Bryce Elder. Bryce Elder has been another guy University of Texas fans have been following since he made his debut, and now he is entrenched in that starting lineup, and he gives you a quality start almost every single time that he goes out there. But it does go back to what you were saying about the rookie mentality and what they're going to be able to do late in the season.
Yeah, I don't know where this team would be, a month ago without the exploits of Bryce Elder. And we're talking about a guy who throws 89 to 91 miles an hour. Like, right. He's not throwing it up. He's not bringing it up there, triple digits, but this cat knows how to pitch. He's got a lot of movement on his sinker. He's got a really good slider and a good changeup, but he knows how to pitch with it. And I'll tell you what, when those guys in the rotation went down, it was, Strider was struggling a little bit, and it was Bryce Elder that was carrying this rotation for a while. We could count on him to go 6 and give up a minimum of, 1, 2, or 3. And if that's the case with this lineup, we're gonna win a lot of ball games that Bryce Elder pitched.
Yeah, Texas Longhorn fans definitely got a chance to do it. And if you get a chance to play golf, go play golf with him. He's pretty doggone good as a golfer as well.
He can play. I've heard about that.
Yeah, so
I haven't gotten to play with him yet, but
so make sure you be careful. Hide your wallet when you go out there because he might try to hustle you. You heard it here first. Hey, man, before we let you go, I want to talk to you a little bit about some football that's going on, man. I know you're a big football fan. You got teams all over the place. What are you looking for this season with your college team and your NFL team?
Man, I'm looking for anybody to beat Georgia. I'm down here. I'm a Florida fan, and amongst all these Georgia people, and they loud talk to me. I don't like it. And I want somebody to beat Georgia this year. I don't care who. I'll be there, man. Now, hey, to be honest with you, I don't see anybody beating Georgia. It's not during the regular season. Their schedule is not very good. It's pretty soft. So I look for them to be back in the SEC championship, probably playing,
Alabama again,
LSU or whatever. But my boys from Florida, Billy Napier is doing a good job of recruiting. He's got some good talent coming in here in the next year or two. So we'll close the gap on them a little bit. But Kirby's got a juggernaut, man. It's been fun to watch them, kind of get their championships the last couple of years. Professionally, man, I got to see my Falcons and my Steelers, kind of rally around their young quarterback.
Yep.
Huge Steeler fan. Kenny Pickett played really well at the end of last year. They did some good things in the draft this year, and man, the Falcons went out and spent some money.
Y'all got Bijan, man. You got Bijan for us, baby.
Bijan Robinson, everybody is psyched to see Bijan in this, run-first offense that we run here, and it's going to be good. They spent a lot of money on the defensive side, so they should be improved there. I look for them to, let's just say, knock on the door of the playoffs this year, and hopefully both of them get in. I'd love to see it. I'm tired of our season being over about 8 or 9 games into the year.
Hey, tell us about it. We've all been there, bro. We've all been there. Before we let you go, man, I wanted to ask you, how's the new crib? I know you had to make the move. You were not excited about the move, but you're in the new crib. Are you settled?
I'm in. I wouldn't say I'm settled. We downsized probably a little more than 50%. Dude, there is crap everywhere in this house. I literally have spent all day in my closet just clearing out stuff and taking it to Goodwill because I'm like, man, I ain't got no room in my closet. And my wife spilled over from her closet, and now she's taking over some of my closet. There's boots and hat boxes and purses and all kinds of crap. If anybody walked in my closet right now, they'd think I was swinging from both sides.
Hey, you are in the ATL, so it's okay, my friend.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Ain't nothing wrong. Do your thing. Do your thing. Hey, man, we appreciate you as always, and we'll be talking even more so when we get closer to the playoffs and what else is going on. But I do want to tell you, next year, your Florida Gators play the Texas Longhorns in the SEC for the first year. Come on out here to Austin, Texas, baby.
Only if they're good. I ain't going out there to get my tail handed to me.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you as always, man, and we'll talk to you soon, my brother. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Love y'all.
Appreciate it, man.
I'm glad
he said only if they good.
He told the truth. At least he told the truth. He's like, oh, yeah, if they good, I'm coming out there so I can talk trash.
Exactly.
And then feel good about it.
Feel
But they
great
bad.
about it.
I ain't coming out there to get my head beat in.
Trying to hang out with you, talking trash to me the whole time.
Chipper is the man. Yeah. I don't know if I saw any pictures of his new home, but there were some pictures of his old house.
Yeah.
The one that he sold or just moved out of.
And he said he downsized about 50%.
Well, I could see it's huge.
Yeah.
Like it
the new one ain't light.
It looked like a mansion on top of a mansion.
Yeah.
Like it's a couple of
This
mansions
one is
combined.
a mansion with a part of a mansion.
Yeah, I mean, I can see him saying he downside 50%. I could easily see downside 50% and it still be considered it's a big mansion. Like it's still a McMansion. It's huge.
Yeah.
But no, man, that thing was a monstrosity. So I could see why he's probably like, nah, we need to get up out of here, man.
Yeah.
And now that's why they have so much stuff because they used to fill up
No
a
doubt.
huge, house, and now. A messy mansion, and now they probably downsized considerably, like he said. So he should have a garage sale.
You can't normally have a garage sale. You got to have houses around you to have a garage sale.
Very true.
The people got to be able to drive by your house.
We get the gated community.
Exactly.
Have a gate sale then. Stuff by the gate.
Exactly. Stuff by the gate.
Get to the gate. There you go. All right, we come back. We'll get into Off the Record. Thanks to Chipper Jones. Thanks to my man Harge for reaching out in his contact list once again to get us one of the stars, sports royalty for Harge Knock Life. We come back. This is something you probably shouldn't say out loud when you get caught doing something so stupid. Right? We'll talk about that on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. It might be that time of the year for you. It might be time for you to go visit the dentist. It might be time for that checkup. Maybe you're having some issues with your dental health or hygiene. Anything that concerns you about your dental health can right now be taken care of by Dr. Greg Eckert and his all-star team. Doesn't matter what it is. All right? It can be just general dentistry. Maybe you have dental anxiety, which a lot of people have, so don't be embarrassed about that. They actually specialize in easing dental anxiety. But general dentistry, teeth whitening, dentures, porcelain crowns, veneers, dental implants, full mouth reconstruction, even root canal therapy, whatever it takes to ensure you're getting the best quality dental care available, that's what Dr. Greg Eckert and his all-star team are all about. And one thing I know about Dr. Greg Eckert, he's always on the cutting edge of the technological advances in general dentistry. He's just a curious mind. And right now, because of him always being on the cutting edge, he can give you a brand new smile in just one day. We're talking about permanently secured to your dental implants. No time spent without teeth. You'll get temporary fixtures until they complete your permanent smile, and then you'll smile again with confidence and eat freely without pain or discomfort. We're talking about a lifelike permanent solution. So if you've been told your teeth need to be replaced, just call Dr. Greg Eckert today and learn about this revolutionary alternative to dentures. It's a complimentary consultation, so you got nothing to lose but everything to gain, because he knows that a confident smile can truly change your life. Give him a call, 512-345-3166. That's 512-345-3166. It sounds too good to be true. It's not. It's just Dr. U. DrEckert.com. DRUECKERT.com. All right, welcome back to another edition of Off the Record. We'll try to be quick here because we're late for the break. So Stephen F. Austin University, SFA, they have a bowling program.
Lumberjacks.
That's right. And their assistant bowling coach, Steve Lemke, he's in hot water, not only the university, but with his wife, Amber Lemke. And she is the head coach of the bowling team. And he, or at least was, the assistant bowling coach. He chose to resign rather than be fired this spring after the university discovered he had an affair with a student athlete.
Oh, athletes.
Yes, he's 38. He is married to the head coach, Amber Lemke. And he resigned April 10th from the program. He helped coach to 2 national titles and 2 second-place finishes. So they were a damn good bowling team. He said, quote, after being found out and exposed, he said, quote, this is a real quote, I knew it was kind of a no-no, but there's not a rule saying it can't happen. There's not a law saying I'm going to go to jail for doing something like this. There's nothing in stone. I guess it's just an ethics code, like we frown upon it. But there's no rule. There's no law broken. Wow. He also tried to kind of gaslight his wife in another quote to try to hint that it was her fault. How about this? He said, quote, I was the stay-at-home dad for 5 years with the kids while Amber got to go off and coach the team. And when she'd get back, I'd run practices on top of taking care of the kids while she was back. When they travel again, I would sit back and take care of the kids. Then, when I got hired on, she almost forced me to run practices. I was a volunteer the entire time before that, trying to help out Amber. Once I got hired on, one thing stemmed from another. I felt like I was doing too much for what I was being valued at. Oh, really? So your wife forced you to have sex with a student athlete? This is a world-class D-bag and a-hole. We're talking about he is in the Hall of Fame. It's hard to, that's impressive.
He's over here trying to put blame on somebody else because she had to go to work.
She had to go to work.
Come on, man. You ain't got no job, bro. You like, what do you expect her to do?
Essentially, she hired him, basically.
Exactly. She was like, you know what? I got to hire you because of the fact you don't have no job.
And then he ended up banging one of the student athletes.
Come on, man.
On the team? On the title team?
Come on, man. Champions. They champions over there.
I mean.
Yeah, when I saw that entire story, I was like, this dude is on
He's
something.
lucky his junk didn't get chopped off. That's like chop your junk off stuff.
This is the best headline ever, though.
Oh, the relation for the
news article.
Spare relationship causes awkward split. SFA assistant bowling coach out after affair with athletes. Well done there.
Yeah, that was well done. Pulitzer Prize winning. That is the title you need right there.
I like that. That was a good job.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get to there's another story I wanted to get to. We'll save it for the next Off the Record. And, of course, we have to update you on the submersible that is still being searched for. That was lost earlier this week. We'll get into that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. My man Jack is keeping us on our toes on a midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Jack takes songs from a soundtrack that inspired him, then based on these selections that are played, Hard, you're not supposed to gather clues and hints, breadcrumbs that lead us to the featured film of midweek movie music. And how about that? Little Purple Rain for you. Wow. Hey, this has never happened in the history of Ball Don't Lie.
Nope.
The middle of midweek movie music, my man switches it up and remix on you. And then we go to a totally different soundtrack. And I got to tell you, I support this move. I support this move, Jack. Good job.
If I'm being honest,
Well
I was
done.
looking at the Space Jam soundtrack, and I was like, there's a lot of R. Kelly. I don't really want to play R. Kelly.
Oh, wow.
He made an executive decision to flip the script on
Well
us.
done there.
Good job, Jack.
Whoa, that is okay. I appreciate you being honest about that. You saw
I love it.
Because R. Kelly is heavily featured on
All
that
over
soundtrack.
that soundtrack.
All over
I
that
believe
soundtrack.
I could fly.
And people have pretty much, in terms of public consumption, they have nixed and canceled R. Kelly for public consumption. I don't hear any R. Kelly when I'm out and about. If I listen to R. Kelly, I have to do it on my own. Like, nobody's going to be playing it publicly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
musicians, you can get away with certain crimes and people will still think you're cool. You know, Tupac went to jail, all that
Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
thing.
no,
but,
yeah.
but R. Kelly, not those kind of crimes. People
Nope,
aren't going to be too
nope.
happy about
It
that.
is no. I mean, with some artists, we seem to have been able to separate the artist from the art itself. But with R. Kelly, it seems like people have not done that as well. Even though he had a lot of jams.
Yeah, a lot of jams.
and a lot of them on that soundtrack of Space Jam, which was the first movie for midweek movie music on today's show. But we have, as we just told you, flipped the script a little bit.
Purple Rain on
Called an audible on y'all.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like it. I ain't mad about that.
And I love the reasoning.
I
I
can
love the reasoning. Can't fight it.
Yes, I cannot dispute it.
No.
I would, because honestly, I'm not someone saying you can't play music from someone who's obviously committed some transgressions of some type. I'm not about the cancel thing, the cancel culture. But I understand. I get it.
Yep.
You want to change your mind? Hey, man, it's a free country.
Already
you change your
in there.
damn mind. You are in control of midweek movie music. And you know what? You upgraded in soundtracks.
You did.
You went from
Can't nobody fight
Space
that one.
Jam to Purple Rain. Come on, man. That's the greatest soundtracks in the history of music.
I was
For
wondering
sure.
what to play, and I was like, you can't ever go wrong with Prince.
You won't ever go wrong with that.
Mm-mm.
All right, there you go.
Winning this way for sure.
Okay, somebody I guarantee that likes Purple Rain is Victor Wembanyama.
Oh, for sure.
Probably like Space Jam too.
Well, Prince would be probably to his kneecaps.
Very true. But we know from the Chappelle Show
Yeah.
that Prince, big basketball fan.
He can hoop.
So he would be keeping up with Victor Wembanyama if he was alive with us today.
Yep.
So Victor Wembanyama went on the Old Man and the Three show. That's JJ Redick's show / podcast that he does. And, of course, he's talking about being projected to be the number 1 overall pick in tomorrow's NBA draft. So we got some pieces of audio that I want to discuss after we hear from Victor Wembanyama. Wemby, as the Spurs fans are affectionately calling him now. So speaking of Spurs fans, he was asked about being drafted almost guaranteed, inevitably, by the Spurs in tomorrow's draft. And here is what Wemby had to say about it. No-brainer.
No-brainer.
If I had to choose, it would be a no-brainer.
A lot of that has to be because of the fact that he has a lot of history with the he doesn't personally, but the Spurs.
His connections.
He has his
Played for
connections.
Tony
about-
Parker's team.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And
It's a good look.
And the Boris Diaw.
Yeah.
Connect. He brought that up right after they won the lottery. So, no, you're right. It's a lot of connections. He felt like he had matter of fact, we'll play that audio later. He felt a spiritual connection to the Spurs right before they even won the lottery. It does make you feel like there is some superior forces at work here with Victor Wembanyama. But getting back to the audio here, he was also asked on that show why he didn't, skip the rest of the playoffs or even the rest of the season for the French league team that he's playing for after the G League showcase where everybody projected him to be the number 1 overall pick and the best prospect. They ranked him since LeBron James. Here is why he said that he decided to not only play after the G League showcase, but hell, he just got done playing this week. Early this week, he played in the finals of their postseason playoffs of that French league. Here is Victor Wembanyama saying why he didn't shut things down. Wow. That's also what you want to hear. Now, I will guarantee you that load management will be a term that he's going to become very familiar with for the rest of his NBA career. Guys, he's a big man. He's 7'5", 7'6", whatever. Not a lot of history of guys that size being durable all throughout their career. Usually one injury compounds another, and it's lower leg injuries, lower extremity injuries, and you want to avoid the first big one whenever that happens. And I don't know how many games he played in the French league, but obviously it's not 82. So I would put the over-under right now at about 65. Like I said, Pop probably doesn't give a damn about accolades and awards, so I don't know where that
better.
Yes, I'm sure I'm sure the agent of Wemby cares about that kind of stuff. But I think his health, durability, long-term durability matters a lot more than him winning Rookie of the Year or being on the All-Rookie team as a rookie. So, especially while he's learning to, where at least he's bulking up. He's going to bulk up because he's really slim. And he'll bulk up a little bit. And while he's banging around with a lot of bigger, thicker bodies with more girth, he may get a little bit injured, may get nicks here and there. They can limit that by just limiting the amount of time he plays. So I don't think he'll play 70 games his rookie year.
Well,
I don't think so. I could be off about that.
I mean, I hope you're off about that because that means that somebody is going to miss out on watching this young man play when he comes to their city. I mean, in the first year, I don't see why Pop would even think about doing something like that. I think he should make all of them play that very first year. And then as he gets older, he's 19 years old. And I understand that the league. He's a big
man.
Yeah.
He's a big man, though. He's not a 19-year-old guard, man. He's 7'5".
Yeah.
7'5" guys are just.
There ain't anything just walking around out there either.
And most of them that play in the NBA, they got a deep injury history. So, but you're right. He's 19. He's young. And by the way, he's not like other big men.
Yeah.
He's a very unique big man.
Yeah, he plays on the outside, moves like a guard, try to pass like one, and he has that wingspan. But you know as well as I do, everybody's going to try him. Everybody's going to go after him. Everybody's going to try to put it on him.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where some of the challenges may exist for him. But I've been around people that have been talking a lot of trash about, man, let him play in the league. Let him see what happens. Let's go what happens. You know how many times a lot of these guys that play over in Europe, they're playing against pro players too.
That's true.
Look at what Luka did. Mm-hmm. Luka was playing professional basketball at 15 years old. My son is 14. He's about to go to high school. There's a difference in what's going on with some of these skillful type players. So for me, when people always talk about, I don't know, he may not be tough enough, I'm like, that's not true. I think this dude is going to be tough enough. And that is why he is going to be able to transition to the league because he's been playing against grown men in a lot of this league. The team that swept him, I think they had 6 or 7 NBA players, former NBA players on that team. Nice. So he has been challenged throughout these years.
He was also asked about the, basically his style of play. And he's interesting. He doesn't dive deep into answering the question. I think he brings up 1 or 2 players, but he does talk about how different he is and how different, because of his unique skill set, how different his training strategies have to be. And also about injury prevention, something we just got into of a guy of his size. Here is Victor Wembanyama. Yeah, he does train in a very unique fashion. I remember reading some stories about his training regimen and all the different things he does because basically his trainer trained him as when he was a youngster as a guard, as a perimeter player, and his father was a track guy.
Yep.
Like he grew up in a household. His mom is the basketball phenom actually in the family. And the mom is still a coach to this day, but she was a professional basketball player. And so that's where he gets all of his basketball genes and his basketball acumen, his basketball IQ. His mom, I think her name is Elodie, and she's 6'3". The dad, Felix, he's a former competitive long jumper who works as a track coach too, and he's 6'6". And he's got a grandfather who stood taller than 7 foot, who also was a former pro basketball player too. So he's got a lot of basketball in his genes and in his blood. He also has a sister who's 6'1". She plays basketball in France. He has a brother who's 6'6", also plays basketball in France. So basketball family, athletic family. And the reason someone of his size, who, you're talking about whatever, 7'3", 7'4", whatever he is, someone of that size who can move the way he moves. He's talking about, and move the way I move.
Yeah.
Because his dad taught him how to run.
Yep.
Most guys that size, they look awkward when they run. The mechanics of running is not something they mastered. His dad made him master it.
Yep.
His dad never let him run awkwardly. His dad was, because his dad's a track coach. He's like, no, man, you learn how to run. You learn the mechanics of running. I don't give a damn if you're 7 foot.
Form is
exactly.
perfect.
Your form, yes, exactly. For a guy that size, he knows how to move.
It's important.
Yeah, and so combine that with also, remember the name, you'll hear a lot of it, Kareem Boubekri.
Yep.
Who was his coach growing up. He was a big fan of Isaiah Thomas. He was a basketball coach growing up, but he was a fan of like Pistol Pete and Isaiah Thomas, and he used to watch all these and one mixtape videos, and he would show those to his players. And Boubekri, he's a non-traditionalist. He had all these non-traditional techniques that he would use with Wembanyama as a young prodigy. Wembanyama learned to handle the ball with working with soccer goaltender gloves to help with his dexterity. He also learned, despite his height, he had to dribble the ball low so he can control it because he worked out with guards. The guy was actually training guards and wing players, and yet Wemby was still working out with him, a guy that was 7'3" or whatever, and that's why Wemby's handles are actually a lot better for a guy his size too. So he runs a lot smoother, and his handles are a lot better. You just don't see guys with that kind of size that have handles like that. So that's just some of the background on why physically there's nothing like him.
That's the impressive part about it. With that being said, we don't understand what his training was prior to it. You just laid it out for us, and that was some of the things that people didn't understand. It's like, well, why is everybody fawning over this guy? Because it's something that we haven't seen in life before. You were talking about it. I mean, we saw the picture of the ball, the baseball in his hand. You couldn't tell it was a baseball. It's like us holding a golf ball. Mm-hmm. That's how big his hands are. Then you go out there and you look at the skill that he has, and nobody really can truly say how great or how bad he's going to be, but the wingspan and the way that he's performed at a high level already. He can get to from the free throw line to the goal in one step. Like, it's ridiculous what his reach is. 84 inches.
Yeah.
The wingspan is 84.
Makes no sense.
It makes zero sense.
Yeah. Okay, so
he probably was part of Space Jam.
And also, one texter says, "Rod, why is he getting taller every time you mention him?" It's not me. It's the. I'm not making it up. It's the reports.
Right.
The reports have him somewhere between 7'2" and 7'5". You can go look it up.
Yep.
Depending on what
site you looking at,
yep, and what source it is. He says, okay, so this was from the Associated Press yesterday. The tall task of determining Victor Wembanyama's height isn't finished yet. The expected number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft might be 7'4", maybe not. While the league is listing him at that height in the draft guide on its media website, it's not official. They said I guess in September they'll have to make it official. It has to be like that's the deadline for it for the Spurs to have to make it official. Like they have to give him an official height. Mm-hmm. But his height is listed in the draft guide. Falls in the middle of conflicting reports about how tall the Frenchman is. It's not official, however, because Wembanyama he didn't attend the NBA Draft Combine in May, where they are actually measured. Mm-hmm. When he was asked at the New York Yankees game how tall he is, he said he was 7'3" in October during the French pro team's exhibition in Las Vegas.
19 years old, by
but
the way.
At 19 years old, yeah. So he's been listed anywhere from 7'2" to 7'5".
Yeah. So if you go back, there's a couple articles that are out there, and it's pretty funny because the title of the story says 8 photos of 7'4" Victor Wembanyama making famous people look comically small. So he's standing next to Rudy Gobert, and everybody's seen this picture that's been out there. Rudy Gobert is listed at 7'1".
Yes.
He's towering over Rudy Gobert. Then he's standing next to Mbappe. Mbappe's a little soccer player, so that's not really fair. But we were talking about J.J. Redick. J.J. Redick is what, 6'4", 6'5"? Mm-hmm. And he's towering over J.J. Redick. He's standing next to Chet Holmgren and Jaden Ivey, 2 players that were drafted in the first round last year. And Chet Holmgren is 7 foot, and it looks like Wemby is at least 6 inches taller than him. Like these pictures are giving him so much juice as far as his height. So you're right, Rod. The reason why you keep giving him different numbers is because you can look at other people and you can say he looks bigger than those people by a lot of inches.
Yeah, so it's like it ain't me. I know Texas like, Robbie, why you keep saying that? It ain't me. Like, I swear, you go look it up, and he's been listed anywhere from 7'2" to 7'6". And there's another picture of him standing next to Zach Edey.
Yes.
Who is 7'4", and he's at least an inch taller than Zach Edey in the picture. You can see, like, well,
and Edey went to the combine,
and he looks like 2 inches taller than Zach Edey. Yep. So I don't know how tall he is, but he's really tall and freakish in so many ways. Yep. All right, let's get to the couple of last bits of audio here. This is another piece of audio, and this was J.J. Redick asking him, like, what centers you? Like, how do you stay grounded? Right, you're being talked about as the best prospect in the history of the NBA draft and best prospect since LeBron. Expectations are, winning rings and championships. How do you stay grounded? It's an interesting answer, and it shows you how kind of deep this young man actually is. Here is Wemby. There you go. It's about life. Young man seems pretty deep, and he's grounded, too.
He's definitely grounded. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. When you're a player like him, you've been in the limelight for a long time. You are mature. I'm talking about actions-wise compared to most people your age at that point.
Yeah, he certainly seems
because he's lived a lot.
Yes, no doubt. That's a good point. He's experienced a lot more just at his young age.
Yep.
Okay, this is the last piece of audio we have from the J.J. Redick interview, where I don't even know how to describe this. You just let him describe it for you. He is describing an athletic feat that he apparently does with on a regular basis. And he even says he's going to get video of it. But listen to him describe this to J.J. Redick, and even J.J. Redick almost be stupefied by this. Here is Wemby. Wow. So this dude is claiming, and I thought he was talking about a bicycle kick too, like the soccer players do, where you flip. And I was like, man, he is really athletic. He can do a backflip and kick the ball. That's amazing. No, he is talking about the ball getting wedged between the back of the rim and the front of the backboard, and he can jump up and essentially, I don't know where his head and his chest come, but he can jump so high and kick his legs with such flexibility that he can jar it loose with the front of his foot somehow. Wow.
Amazing.
Like I said, he could win the dunk contest with that move alone, and he would never have to actually dunk.
Without making a dunk.
I'll give him a 10. I'd be like, I've never seen that before. That is freakish, and he's an alien, and I would give him the championship. I'd give him the title of dunk champion. That is unbelievable. And he said it with such kind of a calm bravado. Oh, we'll get it on video. Meaning, I do it all the time when I'm bored.
When
I'm bored, I do that.
Trust me on that one.
Wow.
Yeah. Special.
I don't even know if it does it justice, brother. I don't know if special does it justice. And you know what? Jack, can we have that piece of audio from the interview with Wemby when they actually won the lottery from that day, please? Have that ready for me. Because not only is he special because of all the freakish reasons we're bringing up, and you talked about the maturity and all that kind of stuff, best prospects since LeBron, all that. But he also won't want to leave San Antonio like one Kawhi Leonard did.
Ooh.
Because this is his dream team. This is the team, not his dream team, but hopefully he make it a dream team. But this is this is a team that he always dreamed of playing for.
Right.
Right? His fantasy has come true. And we know this because he said it on the night that the Spurs won the lottery. Here is Wembanyama on that night. Hold up. How much is that video worth and where is it?
Yeah.
He recorded himself basically speaking the lottery into existence. The Spurs were going to win the NBA lottery, and he did it the day of the NBA lottery, the morning of. Where is that video, and how much will it be worth? Somebody has it right now. Somebody in his team was like, no, I'll save this. We'll make sure we save this. But I'm happy for Spurs fans tomorrow because Spurs fans had one of the worst breakups in NBA history when Kawhi Leonard decided to ghost the Spurs and decided he wanted nothing to do with the Spurs. And not only did he ghost them, but the Spurs decided to get back at him by sending him to Toronto. And then this dude ends up winning an NBA title and had the apex and the zenith of his career happen right after he left the Spurs, just on the mat. Just left the franchise devastated. And in the shadow of that devastation, this dude reaches the mountaintop. I know Spurs fans had to be sick to their stomach watching that. And now you get to rebound. Now your rebound is the best prospect since LeBron James.
Yeah.
There you go. So
it is
the basketball
definitely
gods shining on you. But yeah, I mean, nobody's luckier than the Spurs. I would say luck, but when they call on the basketball guys do answer and heed the call because they get the first pick tomorrow in NBA draft. All right, we'll come back. We'll get into Roger of the day. There's a nugget about the sale of the Charlotte Hornets that I don't think anybody knows.
Come on.
And we got to dive into it. MJ, he's the GOAT on the court. I know people are talking about him being a scrub as an owner, and that very well may be true. But as a businessman, he's a businessman.
Man.
Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It's time for Raj Ram of the Day. So Michael Jordan, the GOAT, MJ, just sold or at least is in the process of selling the Charlotte Hornets. And the team's, I think, recent $3 billion price tag is what it sold for, has now officially made MJ more money on the Hornets sale than he did from his 40 years with Nike. He made $1.8 billion in his 40 years with Nike. He's made $2 billion just from the sale of the Hornets franchise. And it's one of the best business deals in sports history. Okay, so the background is Robert Johnson, who, by the way, African-American history, was the first black billionaire in American history. So he had just sold BET.
Hello.
Remember? Yeah, he was the mogul, all right, an entertainment mogul, and he had just sold BET for about, I think it was $3 billion. It was a lot of money. And he basically paid $300 million to get an expansion team to Charlotte. And then, of course, laid out the plan for the broadcasting rights and, having a regional sports network. He had some grand plans. Let's just the long and the short of it. Most of the grand plans did not work out. They failed miserably. He had a regional sports network that failed after just one season, and the team was losing a lot of money, upwards of $25 million per year under Robert Johnson. So he fired a ton of employees and cut all the costs down to became a bare bones kind of franchise, which fans just love.
Yeah.
The cheap billionaire. And he kept.
That's how he became a billionaire.
Yeah, there you go. And just kept kind of, basically downplaying it. And people didn't think he had any real love or passion for the community or for the team. And then he kind of convinced Michael Jordan to come on as a minority owner, really as more of a public relations move. Try to gain some favor with fans and gain some favor with the NBA community. Hey, bring on the GOAT, right? Ask Michael Jordan to buy a minority stake, which he did. Sounded like a great idea. It was a great idea. And basically Charlotte, after he became a minority owner, so it was a good thing bringing him in, but the Charlotte Hornets still spent irresponsibly in free agents. They spent a ton of money on free agents, millions of dollars on free agents that didn't work out. Hired and fired coaches, that comes kind of the NBA norm. And they drafted a lot of players in the top 10 that also didn't work out, whether it be Adam Morrison, Brendan Wright, DJ Augustine. But they basically didn't make any playoff runs at all. They didn't make the playoffs one single time from 05 to 09. Didn't even have a winning record in that time span. And their attendance dropped precipitously. Nobody went to these damn games. They were like Oakland A's baseball games. Nobody was going. Things were getting really bad.
Man, that cold?
They were really, it was ugly. So Robert Johnson, he was also heavily invested in other business. At this point, the Charlottes were probably his, fifth or sixth top priority in his business empire. He just really didn't give a damn about it. And he was investing in car dealerships and, private equity funds, production studios, broadcast networks. He was highly diversified all over the place. Slot machines, all types of stuff. And he also was in the midst of a divorce. And I think that it was a messy one. I mean, I don't know if initially they had a prenup and it got really, really ugly. And so essentially he had a lot of debt as a result of bad business ventures and this really costly divorce. And he needed to get liquid. He had worth, but we all know net worth and liquid cash are different things.
Big time.
Right? And he needed liquid cash. Right? He had all these properties and he had all these different valuable entities, but he needed cash. So he basically was going to sell his majority stake in the team in Charlotte. His initial asking price was $350 million. But he had several $1 million in upcoming interest payments, and he was close to basically, like we said, becoming illiquid, where he didn't have a lot of liquid cash around. So he just sold the team to Michael Jordan, and their headline said it sold for $275 million. There is a report from the Daily Beast at the time that MJ actually only put down a down payment of $25 million in cash. That was it. And the rest of the $300 million, so the $275 million, a lot of that was basically existing debt on the business that Michael took on as the new majority owner. Mm-hmm. So nobody really knows exactly how much cash Michael Jordan paid for the Charlotte Hornets. The assumption is he did have that initial $25 million cash down payment, but after that, like I said, he took on a ton of debt that the team owed and that Robert Johnson owed. And there's a belief that he just took on a ton of debt, maybe, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars in debt, and that he didn't actually pay any more cash for it. If that was the case, we're talking about one of the greatest business deals in the history of sports. Now, we got to find out from MJ how much actually he paid in cash after that. And now, as an owner, I get it. He never won a playoff game, never finished higher than 6th in the East, 5th worst winning percentage in the NBA. Terrible owner. When I'm talking about him as an owner, I'm talking about him as a businessman. So with the media rights like increasing over the last decade, MJ essentially sold his stake in the team for a $3 billion evaluation. That's double the $1.5 billion valuation he received when selling 20% of the team in 2020. It's 70% higher than the $1.7 billion valuation Forbes gave the franchise just 9 months ago, which would make it basically 11 times more or 11 times higher in terms of the average value than even some of the NFL teams or the NBA teams that you typically would trade for, typically they would sell for. Now, Joe Pompliano says it is the seventh, he claims, it is the seventh most lucrative, expensive sports sale in history. Maybe something about American sports, but he claims it's the seventh most expensive sports sale in history. And for MJ, basically, but a $3 million sale basically kind of nets him $2 billion from this whole deal. And we don't know how much actual cash he put down. Right now it's saying about $25 million, but something tells me that MJ didn't put more cash down after that. Something tells me he didn't. I think MJ might have, pulled a fast one over on Robert Johnson.
He did. He was like, man, I'll get it back to you.
The first black billionaire being hustled by a future black billionaire. It's only like 20 of them in the world.
Well, they're trying to knock them down.
Yeah, it's only like 20 of them in the world. I'm not joking about that number. It's like 20 billionaires with African ancestry in the entire world. And there are more African-American billionaires, though, coming up. I think LeBron was the latest. Yeah. Him and Rihanna, I believe, were classified at one time as billionaires. Sometimes it fluctuates when you're right there on the cusp of being a billionaire, and then you go back to being, you're a 100 millionaire. Man, LeBron is straight-on billionaire. I don't think he's ever going back.
You just become regular.
What?
You become you're not
instead of being a multi-millionaire?
Yeah, you just regular now.
You just got $1 billion.
Yeah, you ain't got no money.
If you just got $1 billion.
You ain't got no real money.
That's different than the guys who got like $10 billion.
Yeah.
So I think LeBron is still in the $1 billion range, but hey, man, still damn good. So there you go. Yeah. Michael Jordan probably got over on Robert Johnson. Still not sure how much he actually paid for the Charlotte Hornets. Only record says about $25 million, but he's on the record for $2 billion in straight cash profits.
Come on, man.
Off of that sale. That is a damn good business, man.
Run me my money. I love it.
Terrible owner.
Yes.
Greatest basketball player of all time. One of the greatest businessmen of all time. Terrible owner. You can't be great at everything. You can't be the GOAT at everything.
Hey, things happen, man.
Exactly.
Things happen.
As his wife, she doesn't think he's the GOAT.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
Well, I'm just saying.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I can't be the best husband all the time either. I'm about being the GOAT on the court. I'm the GOAT in the business world. I ain't got time I can't be the GOAT husband too and the GOAT father.
Hey, that's why he's trying to sell to one of the teams.
And that's why he's got his kids dating Scottie Pippen's ex-wife too.
That's right. And she just won some money off of Scottie Pippen too.
Did she?
Yeah, she
How
won
is she still winning money off Scottie Pippen?
Hey, got some of that 401k.
No tipping Pippen?
Yeah, that's why. That's why.
All right.
She likes people that like to spin.
Yeah, that's right. All right, we'll come back. We'll get into the unfortunate update about the lost submersible. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about our good friends over at Ironworkers Local Union 482. We know Austin is a beautiful city, thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. You may not even know it, but right now you may be driving by one of their iconic landmarks right now, one of the labors of their love, whether it's DeCara Stadium or the Pennybacker Bridge. They've been helping shape Greater Austin since 1935. That's a really long time, and as the city continues to grow and thrive, so do our good friends at Ironworkers Local Union 482. If you're looking for an exciting new career, maybe you're frustrated with your work choices or your career path, you can choose to become a valued member of Ironworkers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Right now, they're hiring over 3,000 people for a huge project right here in Central Texas, and you can take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. So maximize your potential and be your best self today. Simply apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Jack takes songs from a soundtrack that inspired him, and based on the selections that are played, Harge and I are supposed to gather clues and hints that lead us to the featured film of the day. We both got Purple Rain pretty quickly. Harge got the first movie, because we did 2 of them today, because my man Jack's hard-working man. The first one was actually Space Jam. Harge took him about 2 or 3 hints to get it, but he ended up getting it. So 2 for 2 today in guessing
That's how we do.
features
That's
from
how we
midweek
do.
with the music. All right, gentlemen, there is no good news on the lost submersible that was lost on the voyage to try to explore the wreckage of the Titanic from the Ocean Front Company. Jack, I know you've been really interested in this story, so you let me know if you've heard anything different. They did have some good news earlier today when they were able to hear knocking via, I guess it was like sonar or whatever. They have planes that fly overhead, and they have these really just really high level, high quality sonar radar, and they are able to kind of capture sounds from the deep, and they did hear knocking. So they believe that was them knocking, but that doesn't mean they can find them.
Right.
That means that they're alive, but still you're trying to say needle in the haystack situation where they're trying to find them at, I believe, was it 13,000 feet or something like that?
Which is still crazy.
Below sea level. And now, guys, and by the way, I think they have reportedly close to like 11 hours of oxygen left at this time, too. The more you research about it, it's one of those avoidable tragedies. Some tragedies are just tragedies, and they were not avoidable, unfortunately, and people end up losing their lives and are devastated. This seemed like an avoidable tragedy. The more research you do about it, okay, this is the first story that got me really upset. It upset me when I saw it, I'm not going to lie. So there was an employee that worked for OceanGate. They fired him a few years ago after he filed safety complaints against them. The employee specifically claimed the sub was not capable of descending to such extreme depths before he was fired. His claim was that the submersible was only built to a certified pressure of 1,300 meters, although OceanGate intended to take it 4,000 meters. OceanGate refused to pay the manufacturer to build a viewport that would meet the required depth of 4,000 meters. Also, there was a unanimous concern from industry leaders in the I think it's just it was right. It's kind of the oceanographers. Is that what it is? Oceanographers. I believe that's what it is. Oceanographers, all the explorers,
Deep sea divers.
But the oceanographers, there was like a unanimous concern over 25 of these industry leaders who said that this experimental approach that OceanGate was using would end in catastrophe. And they basically also, there was discussions in 2018, OceanGate was warned by MTS, recommended they discontinue their plans to commercialize trips to the deep sea to visit the wreckage of the Titanic because they did not think the Titan sub was safe enough. So it seemed like, guys, it was avoidable in a lot of ways. How about this? This is a report from a guy who was in the sub. His name is Arthur Leubel. He's 60. He told a German outlet. He said he undertook the perilous underwater odyssey in August 2021, diving over 12,000 meters to the famous wreckage in the Titan submersible. He claims he said he was in there with some other CEOs and some really rich people because it costs you like $250,000 to go down in this thing. He said, quote, "It was a suicide mission back then." That's what he said. He said the first submarine didn't even work at a dive of 1,600 meters. It had to be abandoned at the time. He explained that they ended up launching 5 hours late due to electrical issues.
Come on, man.
Which he suspects is to blame for the Titan crew's current predicament.
Ain't no way.
Not only that, but right before the voyage, the bracket of stabilization tube, which balances the sub, tore off and had to be reattached with zip ties.
Come on, with zip ties. Think about that. That's why they had to bolt it in, right? That's why they ended up putting the bolts on there.
He said that happened when he went down in it, and his was a successful mission. He said, "Oh no, it was a suicide attempt. That thing was crazy." That is wild. Oh man.
See,
and there's no way they were upfront about all these issues with the people that were paying the money. That's also that's upsetting. Because if they'd have told them the real, the people would be like, "Hell no, I'm not going down in that. that coffin, that tomb with you.
Hold on. Let's put it like this. If you can afford $250,000 to go underwater, I think you should have did some research before you went and said, I can do it.
That's fair.
Because there's no way
That's fair.
I'm going to go out there. I need to know all the fail safes. I need to know every single possibility of something. I heard somebody put this out there, and I think we kind of touched on this yesterday. Somebody said, all these people with all this money out here, and ain't nobody decided to put no air tags on there where we can find
No, I got a comment on that.
I'm glad you do.
David Pogue, he tweeted this. He said, remember my voyage. He actually was on the ship because it's a submersible, not a submarine. Submarines can dock, and then they can take off on their own. The submersible must be dropped in the water by a ship, so it's submersible. So he was on the ship. He said, I took the voyage to the Titanic last summer. He said they took passengers out again this summer, but as of today, the sub is lost. He was talking about it. And he said someone asked him, do the submersibles have something similar to an aircraft's emergency locator transmitter, a beacon, an EOT? He said a submersible does not have any kind of beacon like that.
Come on. Like, why would you even
go out there? He says on my expedition last summer, they did indeed get lost for 5 hours. Adding, they were hoping they had such a beacon. He said, to be clear, I was not on the sub that day. I was on the ship at the surface in the control room, and they could still send short texts to the sub, but they did not know where it was. It was quiet and very tense, and they shut off the ship's internet to prevent us from tweeting out the information. And he said, why didn't y'all put that in the special in the show? He said the company gave us a different rationale for shutting off the internet, that this could be an emergency and they needed all channels open, and we had no idea how to confirm whether or not the information was true. But it was in the report. CBS News, on this dive, communication somehow broke down. The sub never found the wreck. We were lost. We were lost for 2.5 hours, and Rush said he'll offer those passengers a free do-over next year. This was actually from that instance the guy just mentioned. So this is multiple incidents of this particular Titan sub with this company being screwed up and being made, being kind of shady and rickety, and they kind of put it together in their own way, and it did not pass or meet any standards of the industry.
Zero.
It was a total avoidable catastrophe and tragedy. That's why it's sad. Totally avoidable.
Say it again.
Except people were being greedy.
Avoidable.
They wanted 250 G's to take the people down into that makeshift sub they were making, and they just wanted the money from these CEOs and these really rich people. And honestly, that company should be ashamed of themselves. If anybody left that company, they should sue all of them. It's ridiculous.
Thank you.
All right, we'll come back.
Now y'all know how I really feel.
It's ridiculous. We'll come right back on Ball Don't Lie, Wonderful Not the Horn.
Mike Hart here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at Quick Roofing. Texas has had some crazy weather, and right now you're dealing with a lot with your roof. So do yourself a favor and reach out to quickroofing.com. Jeff Quick started Quick Roofing 38 years ago, and the reason why Quick Roofing is still in business for that long is because they have a great reputation of customer service. Here's some of the reasons why you should choose Quick Roofing. You get a free, no-obligation inspection. Quick Roofing requires a project manager on every job site, ensuring that you, the customer, get everything that you were promised. Quick Roofing is fully insured and have all state and local licenses. Quick Roofing doesn't even require any money up front until 100% completion and 100% satisfaction. And with all that, you get a 7-year workmanship warranty. So what are you waiting for? Reach out today and get that free inspection. Go to quickroofing.com today. That is quickroofing.com.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. And you probably can guess what the featured film is. I figured I'd let him finish it.
He let you know, didn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah, he wants you to be standing in it.
Oh, man, what a great idea from my man Jack, who switched it up on us mid-show. Went from Space Jam to Purple Rain. And the reasoning, the rationale was sound. None of us disagreed.
Exactly.
Basically, Jack, what'd you say? What was the reason you decided to switch up?
I didn't want to play any R. Kelly.
Boom. The man just he couldn't think of it.
Simple.
He really
It was simple.
And he
It
just
was
called an
simplistic.
audible
That's
mid-show.
right.
He
That's right.
said, guys, I didn't want to play R. Kelly.
Me and Rob both looked at each other like, I do not remember Purple Rain being in the middle of Space Jam.
Would have been a way better movie if it had been.
Exactly.
But you know what? We didn't get any complaints on the Spec Text line either
No.
about him switching up and the rationale because, I want to play R. Kelly. Everybody understands why you don't want to play R. Kelly.
Exactly.
Nobody's going to judge you
Nobody's
for that.
judging you for that.
You want to jam R. Kelly in the privacy of your own home?
Jam it.
It's a free country.
Knock yourself out.
But for public consumption, I get it.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at you.
Because he did have some bangers.
Did he? Oh, what?
Yes.
That's the tragedy.
Yeah.
That's part of the tragedy.
Aura.
The part of the tragedy is that he made some great songs.
Yep.
Now you feel bad. It's like, oh. You not feel bad. You just can't help but thinking about him during the song. And it's like, that's not
what I want to hear right now. I don't want to visualize that.
exactly about his transgressions.
Yep.
Spec Text line, there are a lot of text about the tragic story of the submersal that is still lost, has not been found. I think they're diligently looking for it until
they have to call them off.
Until they have to call off the search.
Yeah.
And there are scientists that believe that this is only for the public and for the media kind of show, that it's already done. Because they don't believe the submersal could have withstand the pressure,
Right.
the PSI, pounds per square inch of the
Yep.
pressure down that deep.
Mm-hmm.
So they think it might already be done. But they heard knocking. They don't know what the knocking is, and maybe there's hope.
There's always hope.
It's always a little bit of hope. And then there's also some people that said basically, if you're with that makeshift sub that they decided to create that didn't meet any of the standards, it's not likely that it would survive down there that long without another issue coming up, some type that we cannot foresee. So it does look bleak, and I feel bad for all because it's two billionaires down there, a British one and a Pakistani billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
The Pakistani billionaire brought his son, 19-year-old son, with him.
And he is probably not very happy right now.
Oh, you know, Dad was trying to get him there
19.
to get off his phone and come see real life. That was like that was a pitch from the dad too.
You should have told him. I would have told my dad, real life is above water.
Where the living are. I want to hang out with the living.
I want to hang out with
You want to go
people.
visit the dead. I want to go
Yeah.
hang out with the living.
Couldn't you just tell me to go get a job instead of going down there underwater? That ain't for me, Dad. Sorry.
Yeah, it's Brian. There's the stepson of the British billionaire. He got himself in hot water because he went to I'm not making this up. In the last 48 hours, he went to a Blink 182 concert and posted on social media about it. And this is a real post. This is what he posted.
Yeah, yep.
It might be distasteful being here, but my family would want me to be at the Blink 182 show as it's my favorite band and music helps me in difficult times.
That's my kind of guy.
I'm like,
Did you see his next tweet where he tried to leverage it into meeting the band?
No.
He was like, guys, I'm real sad. My dad.
No.
I told my dad I would do the exact same thing.
Wow.
If you were missing at the bottom of the ocean, I would absolutely leverage that
He
into
tried
trying to meet Blink-182.
I did not see that. Okay, you know what? We thought the other guy, the assistant bowling coach who was married to the head bowling coach at Stephen F. Austin, was a world-class D-bag and a-hole because he was sleeping with one of the student athletes on the bowling team while his wife was the head coach and he was the assistant coach. And then after that happened, he said, hey, it's not against the law.
no.
It's just frowned upon.
That's what that going to that concert was.
What?
It's not against the law.
And
It's just
it is
frowned
against
upon.
the law. That violates several Title IX issues.
I think that's a great point, Jack. I bet you're right about that.
So not only is he a bad person, he's wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong. Well, a guy like that, he's probably wrong a lot.
Yeah, he seems to be.
He has never read Title IX.
Well, it was his wife's fault.
He tried to gaslight his wife. Talking about he used to be at home with the kids, but his wife was the one that pretty much, forced him out of the house to get that job, and then look at what happened.
Come on.
See, it's your fault.
Yep.
If I would have been at the house taking
have
care
did
of our
that to me.
kids instead of having to work and getting a job like you told me to get, then I wouldn't have been banging a student athlete, one of your student athletes on your bowling team, had the job that you made me get, but I didn't want to get one.
Because all I wanted to do was stay home.
So it actually is her fault. Boom.
However you want to break it down.
Gaslighting.
Yeah, gaslighting.
101. That's that dude. Yeah. So I don't know which one's worse because that stepson, what's his name, Brian Shaz or something. That's
he mad.
Oh, you might be the worst person in the world today. That's pretty bad, man.
No, he's not. He's not worried about it because he's about to inherit a lot of money.
That is so true.
Yeah, he's about to inherit a lot of money.
That's probably why he's out there celebrating.
He's hitting people up on OnlyFans. He's doing all that stuff right now.
So dark, but so true. He is.
Yeah.
You sick mofo.
Yeah, he is definitely that.
All right, let's get back to some sports items here. SpecSec sign 512-337-3776. We didn't get to this story on our NBA topics, but it did hit today that there has been an NBA trade made that is actually a really impactful one, and it's definitely not going to be the last one before the NBA draft is said and done. But Kristaps Porzingis has been traded. The Celtics, it's based on Woj's account here, Adrian Wojnarowski, it's about 2 hours ago, said the Celtics are working on a trade to acquire the Wizards' Kristaps Porzingis in a 3-team deal that sends Malcolm Brogdon to the Clippers. LA would be sending Marcus Morris, Amir Coffey, and a 30th pick to Washington. He also went on to say Porzingis would opt in to his $36 million 23-24 option to make the trade happen, and also points out that Boston's Danilo Gallinari would also be in the deal to the Wizards when this is finalized. So it'll help Boston. I mean, they have no excuses. They didn't have excuses this past season not to reach the NBA Finals. But certainly adding a talent like Kristaps Porzingis, I think will give them another quality option offensively. I was actually, in my notes today, too, strangely enough, I was keeping up with all the NBA rumors and reports, and I was writing them down here in my notes. And in one of my notes, I say, should the Rockets sign or should the Rockets be interested in acquiring Kristaps Porzingis? And I put in here that his career average, not career average, but his 2023 average, 23 points per game, not bad. True shooting percentage around 63%, not bad. He's only 27. I know he's moved around a lot, so it makes him seem older, and he's had injuries, which make him seem older. But he's only 27. It's not that much older. So I like the move for the Celtics, actually.
If he can stay healthy.
If he can stay healthy,
that's exactly what the difference would be. A healthy Porzingis will definitely help your squad. But for him, his injury, his past, is he going to be competitive? Because I'm telling you right now, you come to Boston and you kind of play soft, they're going to let you know about yourself. So you best come out there and be prepared to play. But overall, on paper, this is a good-looking team. And for Boston, they've been leaving a lot of meat on the bone.
Yes, they do, man.
They've had great records. They've got Jason Tatum, who thinks he is the next coming of Kobe Bryant. He works like him. Then you got not Jason Tatum, but Brown, Jaylen Brown, baller. But can they go get it? Can they go and close out the deal, win that championship? And that's to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, I said they have no excuses, really. I mean, they got tons of talent, and I guess the excuse this year was the coaching. Yeah, that was the big excuse.
That's what they kept saying.
They kept saying, like, well, we don't know this inexperienced coach. He doesn't have a lot of playoff experience, and he's getting out-coached. Maybe that puts him at a disadvantage. They decided to keep the coach in a year where we're seeing a ton of turnover in the NBA. And we're talking from high-quality championship coaches. I mean, you could argue they could have the chance to upgrade at the coaching position, and they chose not.
Yep.
They chose not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that was a mistake now in retrospect that they probably should have and could have upgraded in that situation? Or
they didn't do it soon enough. That's the thing.
Mm.
A lot of people were already making moves.
Okay.
So
They waited a little too
they
late.
waited a little bit too late.
They didn't wait a little. Yeah, okay.
And they went to game 7.
I gotta go back and look at the time. Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? So you stretched it out. By that time, everybody else was getting picked up.
I gotta go back and look at the timeline, but maybe you're right. Maybe they waited a little bit too late.
Yeah.
I mean, we think about these numbers for Boston though, because I remember these from my notes from the last series with Miami. They went to 7. The Celtics are tied with the 2018 Oklahoma City Thunder for the most losses as a favorite in a single season.
Mm-hmm.
Since at least 2003. They had 29 losses as a favorite
That's crazy.
this season. Isn't that crazy? That's, like I said, tied for the most since 2003.
That was a sick stat.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I wonder if they made a mistake by keeping the coach. And like I said, they're making a change here with Kristaps Porzingis. But I'm not done. Keep this in mind. Boston finished with the most playoff losses as a favorite since 2008. We haven't seen a favorite finish with that many losses since 2008. With 8 losses in these playoffs, the Celtics have the most losses as more than a 5-point favorite in that same time span. They had more losses as a 5-point favorite. They were tied with last year's Celtics team, unfortunately, with the most losses as a home favorite.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I mean, in the regular season and playoffs, Boston had the most losses as a double-digit favorite since 2013. I ain't making up these numbers. This is crazy. I don't know how you could keep most of that together. Like, you had to make some serious moves. I thought the coach would have been the easier one to make. Also, among teams with at least 5 losses as a favorite in the playoffs, the Celtics had the second worst against the spread margin behind last year's Suns team that got beat in Game 7 by the Dallas Mavs in that embarrassing fashion. Listen, these numbers are crazy.
Yeah, those are deep, especially that 29 losses when they were favored.
Yes.
That is a scary number. And if the people were paying attention during that time, they might have made a financial gain.
Yeah, I'll read this out again. The Celtics this season were tied with the 2018 Oklahoma City Thunder for the most losses as a favorite in a single season. Wow. 29 of them. Most losses, by the way, since at least 2003. So that tied with the Thunder. So the most since 2003. That's crazy. But the one that stands out to me that's almost, it feels like it's unforgivable.
Right.
Is that this year, they had the most losses as a home favorite. How the hell are you losing as a home favorite?
Who was the referees during those games? Don't forget that,
too. Throw that out there, too. Yeah. And they had the most losses as a double-digit favorite. Like, basically, every time we were high on Boston, they underachieved and disappointed us.
Big time.
And that really the playoffs tracked exactly with that narrative. So I like the Porzingis thing just because they had to make a big move. Because those stats I just brought up to you, those are compelling and, in my opinion, troubling. And they say a lot about the team, and I don't know if I think a coaching change would have helped and a move like Porzingis would have helped, but at least they did one of those. So,
well, Porzingis, like we said, if he can be healthy, this is going to help them a lot, and hopefully the old coach can now understand how to use these guys and maybe be more vocal. I think that was what people were missing because he was so stoic on the sideline. Even if he didn't say the right things, at least looked a little bit fired up over on the sideline.
Later on in that Heat series, when they came back, you start to see a little fire from him. But I think that he's there. I don't know if he has enough. I believe he has enough skins on the wall yet to call out guys. But I'm with you. You got to do it.
At that point,
that's your job.
Yeah, I was going to say you set the tone for that.
That's your job. Yeah,
and you let them know, hey, this is what it's going to be like because I'm not going to sit here and we are the best team in the NBA. Record-wise.
Yep.
How are we getting ousted? You know what I'm saying? How are we by the 8 seed?
Yeah, no, the Celtics are the biggest disappointment in the NBA this season, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I just gave you the numbers.
Yeah.
Found me a more disappointing story. Some people would go to the Suns, but the Suns, remember, that was kind of not mid-season. They did that during the season and kind of recalibrated things for the Celtics. They've been working on this damn thing for like 3 years.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Come
sir.
on, man. Working on this for a long time now. And you guys are regressing. You guys are getting worse.
You are going backwards.
Exactly.
You
know what I
are
mean?
going backwards.
So to me, they are easily the most disappointing story of the NBA season this past season. So we'll get some more NBA talk. Tomorrow will be heavy NBA as well because we'll have a lot of NBA draft talk. But also there is a lot of discussion that the NBA free agency frenzy and the trade market is going to heat up a ton just because of the new CBA that starts July 1st. We'll give you some more details about that, too. When we come back, though, we'll get into some Major League Baseball discussion. We'll also give you an update on the College World Series. We'll give you an update on the Astros. Go Astros! We'll also we're in action tonight. And also, we'll give you talk about the Rangers a little bit, too. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. By everyone knows by now my favorite tequila. It's Hot Cat Tequila. It's not a secret anymore. As a matter of fact, it used to be the best kept secret. Now everybody knows that Hot Cat Tequila is fantastic. The cat stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila, and the recipe is just as simple and just as delicious. Cinnamon, agave nectar, and tequila. That's why it's so light. That's why it's so smooth. It's every tequila lover's dream. But how about this? Even if you're not a fan of tequila, as a matter of fact, had some Hot Cat Tequila over the holiday weekend, hanging out with Pops for Father's Day weekend, and let my brother taste some Hot Cat Tequila. Now, he also is a fan of Hot Cat Tequila, and once again, not really a fan of tequila, which means it's so damn good, you don't even have to like tequila to love Hot Cat Tequila. That's how good it is. It'll turn any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila, and once you try Hot Cat, trust me, you'll never, ever go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you ordered rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started. So turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or any night on the town with family and friends. Visit Cat Tequila, that's cattequila.com, to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We all know that time is money, and my friends at Apple Leasing, they're in the business of saving you both. Now, we all know the experience and the satisfaction of getting a brand new car. There's nothing like it. That new car smell just feels real good to be driving in a brand new car. And what we don't want to deal with is the headaches and the stress of having to price shop, go to different dealerships, make sure that the price point and the payment is compatible with your budget. Those can be really stressful and time-consuming projects for you. And what you want to do is reach out to Apple Leasing and have them do all the hard work. And they do it really well. That's why they've been in business here in Austin for almost 40 years, because they take the stress and the headaches out of the process for you, and they can allow you to get the car that you always wanted. Give them a call, 512-346-9977, or visit them at appleleasing.com, and they can help you get the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want. And somebody who knows this firsthand is Mike Harge.
That's right. You can get the price that you want. You can get the car car that you want, and you can work with the people that you want. And that the people that I want to work with are all at Apple Leasing. Apple Leasing made the job so easy for us that we ended up getting 3 cars from them. No, not at the same time. We've worked our way through there, and Apple Leasing is always so friendly, and they can make sure you get what you want. No matter the make, no matter the model, they will walk you through the process. The Apple Easy Lease is the way to go. It's user-friendly, and the customers can go through a process that is so easy. You can find better rates and more flexible with your finances. You can buy, lease, or trade over the phone. It's that easy. That's why they call it the Easy Lease. And a lot of people are always asking, how do you get out of your lease so early, and will you be affected? No, they work with you. That's why I work with Apple Leasing. I drive all the time, and nothing is more frustrating than when you were going to be in a car that you couldn't get around with. Whether it's hot here with the air conditioning, you want to make sure you want to make a move, make it with Apple Leasing. They always talk about their leasing cars and making friends, and now I'm a friend, and we're going to be part of the family for a long time. Go to appleleasing.com or give them a call at 512-346-9977, and it will be that easy for you. Go to appleleasing.com today.
Oh, great underrated Prince song. I Would Die For You is a very underrated Prince song. People don't talk about it enough. They talk about all the great Prince songs. It's a midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's my man Jack doing a great job. He takes songs from a soundtrack that inspired him, and based on those selections that are played, hard, you're not supposed to gather clues and hints that lead us to the featured film of midweek movie music. And that's that actually, it was 2 films this week. We started out with Space Jam and now switched it up midstream to Purple Rain, which is arguably the greatest soundtrack in history.
And I will put it up against any other soundtrack at any time. Because if you think about every single song, you just talked about I Will Die For You and how underrated of a song that is. And not only is it underrated, if you go back and you watch the performance of that song during Purple Rain, that is what got me going to it.
I Would Die For You is probably the 5th or 6th best song on that album.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how good it is. And it's a great song. But it's like not even in the top 5 on Purple Rain. I don't know if there are any soundtracks that are better than Purple Rain.
I wouldn't think so either.
Specs text line. Let us know if we're off. Jack, you're a music man. Soundtracks better than Purple Rain?
I doubt it. I mean, just wall-to-wall Prince.
There's no way.
It's hard to do that. I mean, if you want to go in a similar vein, there's a few Beatles movies, but those are really just
they're documentaries. Though, right?
No, they're basically promotional material. They just kind of run around and then they stop down and play a song.
Some of those silly movies back there on the
Hard Day's
beach.
Night and stuff.
They're like giving like a weird name for their band.
But Hard Day's Night, I would argue, is not one of the Beatles' strongest albums. So it is not better than Purple Rain.
Well, I don't have that on my phone, so.
We know you need more. You need more diversity on your phone. You need more women and more white people. Not just white people. More women and somebody other than black people
there you
on
go.
your phone.
Yeah. It could be anybody else.
It could be anybody.
You're like, you ain't got no Selena? Nah, I ain't got no Selena.
No Selena on there?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I like
no
it.
Rolling Stones.
I like
no
it.
Beatles.
No Beatles.
You need to put no Beatles on that
No
joint.
Beatles, though.
That's wild. Not to have one Beatles song on your entire iPhone.
No, I'll put it on the.
It's like 4 songs that easily deserve to be on there.
Well, I'll just play it on that station. I'll go to that station.
You just go to YouTube and play it when you get a mood?
When I go there, I'll just go play it on there. My XM got it.
I like that. The Astros were in a much better mood because they got to win. Guys, this is the kind of game you want to go to. You want to watch a game like this. The Astros beat the Mets, what was it, 10-8? You had 18 runs scored, 19 hits between the two teams, and 16 walks. They kept it moving. That was a lot of action. A lot of action in this game.
A lot of action.
3.5-hour game in the pitch clock era.
Woo.
That's the crazy part about it.
That is wild.
Yeah, that's the
Yaniner
crazy
Diaz
part
going
about
yard again. Can't keep him on the bench.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, it is good that you got that much action. You don't care about how long the game is. Nobody's complaining about how long the game is when you got that much action. And the Astros needed this win. They need to win a series, and they get the series win over the Mets. Christian Javier actually had a subpar performance. I expected him to come out slinging on the mound. They actually had a 4-2 deficit early on in this game because Christian Javier just didn't have his stuff tonight. Astros found a way to battle back. Bregman bouncing back, too.
He needs to.
They need
Keep
him.
banging it.
In a way,
banging.
might be Christian Javier's worst start of his career, as he did give up a career-high 5 walks. But all in all,
I didn't think about
not
that.
all
That's a good
bad,
point.
but
Yeah,
he
no,
did
you're
give
right.
up 5 walks, which he does not walk a lot of guys.
No, he's normally around the plate a lot.
That's a good
fair.
point. Yeah, so I guess the Astros are probably happy with their performance, but yeah, Christian Javier, not really good for him. But the Astros still got they still have the best ERA in Major League Baseball. At least they did.
They're close
earlier
to it.
this week. I don't know if they still do, but they're still one of the best team ERAs in Major League Baseball. Really, what they got to get going is the bats and the run support, and hopefully that turns around for the Astros. Well, you win a game 10-8.
Yeah.
You got to be putting some runs on the board. For the Rangers aren't in action until 7:10, somewhere around there. It's the first pitch for the Rangers tonight. And last night, a heartbreaking loss for the Rangers, so hopefully they can bounce back. But against the Chicago White Sox last night, it was. They lost 7-6, and essentially a very controversial play ended up being the game-winning run. For the Chicago White Sox. And it was reviewed, by the way. It was reviewed, and still, even after the play was reviewed, the call for and do their reviews actually go to a separate location?
It goes to New York.
It goes so everybody's going to New York.
Everybody goes to New York. It's
Okay.
something totally different, totally far away, and then boom,
And they still screwed it up.
They still messed it up.
For those who did not catch it, there was a play at home in last night's game between the Texas Rangers and the White Sox in which the catcher, Jonah Heim of the Rangers, set up the side of a home plate, received a perfect throw from Travis Jankowski. They thought they tagged out Elvis Andrus, the former Ranger, to keep the game tied 6-6. White Sox challenged that call, contending that Andrus was safe and that Heim blocked the plate. And after the replay review, the team in New York City overturned it. And, of course, Bruce Bochy was not happy about that, earned another ejection, his second ejection, I believe, this week that he's gotten. But after watching it, it has been, I don't know about unanimously, but it definitely seems that the majority of baseball fans out there, large majority of baseball fans out there and analysts believe this was an egregious miscarriage of the officiating duties and responsibilities, and that, this is a dang coaching mistake, and this was a horrible mistake by the officials, and even after reviewing it, they still got it wrong, and it cost the Rangers a game.
Yeah, and it does make sense for them to review it, but the disappointing part was when the review came back, the explanation was even worse, because if you're watching the game or you've seen any of it that happened, you realize that was not a blocking or impeding his progress to the plate. Matter of fact, he tagged him before he even got to the plate, and if he was going to be blocking the plate, he touched it with both hands. He slid all the way in. He touched the plate.
Yeah, how would he have?
So how would there be blocking?
Yeah, how can you touch the plate if he's blocking the plate?
If I'm blocking the plate.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's the worst part about it is, these guys are playing hard. It made a perfect throw by the left fielder. I mean, that throw couldn't have been even better. And I'm still trying to figure out why Heim was behind the plate as he was sliding. And he still was in the wrong place.
You're right, because he gave him half the plate.
He gave him the plate.
Your critique would be, hey, you should take up
you
more of the plate.
You should have been on the front side of that, away, and that way you're swipe tagging like he did, but you're swipe tagging so far out that they can't even complain against it.
Isn't that just a discretionary call by the umpire, though, whether someone's blocking the play? I'm sure there is a textbook definition of it, that if you're blocking the play and you don't have the baseball.
Yes.
But when it's bang bang, which was close, it was close. It was easy. It was easy to identify that he had, obviously got him out.
Exactly.
But it still was more bang bang. That's more discretion whether a guy's blocking the plate or not. And he was just wrong in his discretion.
He was
blocking
flat
the plate.
out wrong.
No, that's
well,
not.
the home plate umpire was actually right.
The home plate umpire, the guy overturned it.
The guy that overturned it,
yes,
I think he was already doing something else, and he was like, yeah, call him out.
He
because
already
if
made
he
his
went
mind
back,
up.
because if you go back and review it and you see what everybody in the world saw, you made the wrong call.
You made the wrong call.
You made the wrong call, period.
Yeah, because the umpire, and he's the one that actually had to deal with the blowback of the crowd.
Exactly.
But I'm sure he had to be upset, too, because he's like, I got the call right.
And that's why Bochy, when he ran out, he was automatically tossed, because once you go to review, you can't argue it.
Wow. Yeah, you can't say anything, because that's the last point in the process.
Exactly.
There is no more
There is none
dispute.
of that.
It's it.
None of this is going on after that point.
Yeah, well, you know what, Bruce Bochy, sometimes you have to get tossed. Sometimes it's necessary.
He's been tossed all week.
Yes, true. But sometimes it's, and by the way, you could argue the last time he was tossed, it was necessary and justified as well.
Right, for sure.
Because
his batter, Marcus Semien, didn't go past home plate on a check swing.
Yeah.
And they rung him up too.
Yeah, so
that's a bad look.
But yeah, Bochy, I love the way he kind of old man trots out to the mound too.
I want to see him and Bucky in a race.
that is how Bucky.
That's what I'm saying.
How Bucky
rushes. See him and Bucky.
Yeah, that is how Bucky rushes.
Don't make me rush you.
Yeah, Bucky don't run anymore. Bucky will rush, and if he rush, he's like sliding his feet, which sometimes is bad for Bucky. Bucky always tells stories about how he trips and falls.
Yes,
he doesn't pick up his feet.
Ding ding.
He slides his feet too much.
Yeah,
that's why he falls out of porta potties and stuff like that. You gotta pick your feet up. No, Bucky tells that story how he fell out of the porta potty.
I forgot about that. Oh,
Just
man.
thinking about it is hilarious.
Oh, my gosh.
Was it on Bevo Boulevard too?
I
Was
hope
that-
it wasn't.
I want to say it was like out, like on a tailgate in front of lots of people.
Oh, my gosh.
Bucky like fell out of the porta potty. But yeah,
My
Bucky
man,
tell that story.
Buck.
Bucky tells the best stories.
Yeah, he does.
All right, we'll come back. We'll try to do better and wrap this thing up and put it in the oven right here on Ball Don't Lie. Wonderful on the horn. Welcome back, folks. Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you why I love the city of Austin. Well, one of the reasons why I love the city of Austin. There are multiple reasons, but the aesthetic appeal, right? It's fantastic. It's part of the allure of Austin, why people keep moving here. And part of the unique aesthetic appeal of Austin is thanks to the skilled craftsmanship of ironworkers, local Union 482. They've been helping shape Austin since 1935. You see the labors of their love all over this great city. You may not even know it. You might be driving by one of them right now, like DKR Stadium at the Pennybacker Bridge. And as our city continues to grow and thrive, so do our good friends at Ironworkers, local Union 482. They don't go to the office, they build the offices. So if you're looking for an exciting new career path and you want something new, something fresh, maybe you're frustrated with your work choices, you can become a valued member of this prestigious organization, Ironworkers Local 482, and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape our city's economic development. Right now, they're hiring over 3,000 people, and you can become one of these lucky people and become a valued member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. So maximize your potential and be your best self today. Simply apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Getting ready to wrap it up and put it in the oven. Before we do, we'll let you know what's on tap. If you missed any part of any of the shows, please go to hornfm.com. You can catch up with them on the podcast page. All right, the Flex is coming up next, the Wednesday Night Flex. We just got a chance to meet Mason Cochran.
Big boy.
For the quarterback for the Round Rock Dragons, but also got it plays both ways for him a little bit too. And is being recruited by some schools to play linebacker. He's such a physical presence.
Good looking athlete for sure.
Plays basketball.
Yes.
Runs. He says he's gonna run track this year too.
Ooh, 400.
See, he's gonna run 400, which is a man's race.
Grown man.
Yeah.
I don't want no parts of that.
When you train for the foe, you run 800s to train for the foe. Whew. I remember I ran the foe.
Yeah, I don't want no parts of that.
That ain't no joke. So Mason Cochran coming up next, along with Taylor head football coach Irvin Flowers and Corey Mose, the best dressed man in sports entertainment in the ATX or in Central Texas, is going to join him as well.
I can't wait to see what he's wearing today when he walk in.
He always surprises me, and he's always well dressed. You know what? He reminds me, you can never be overdressed. You can never be overqualified. Don't let anybody lie to you. Or you can't be. Oh, you know what I mean? Someone say overqualified. What the hell does that mean?
I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
All right, what you got on tap for tonight?
I got my cousin in town, so we're gonna hang out at the crib and just catch up on everything.
Everything. I like that. Family is important. What you got on tap, Jack?
Checking out some the prospects for tomorrow's NBA draft.
Oh, he's doing research.
Yeah,
research for the show tomorrow.
My guy, Tom Thompson. Know that name, Rod. Know that name.
Okay, so we're going to do a heavy NBA draft tomorrow.
No doubt.
Don't worry about that. Tonight, for me, I'll probably catch up on my trash TV. I got some Naked and Afraid I haven't watched. Oh, yeah. That's real. You like that show?
So weird, man.
Yeah, it's so weird, man. That's my man, Jack. He's a man.
Jack is growing on us.
He is. All right, folks, remember the revolution not be televised. We talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Peace.